Let a few of y'all come on in. Today we're doing all things Tory. Hi, honey. How are you? Hey, Megan.
Newest portrait was unveiled and...
Wait a minute. Laptop doing the most. Let's see. Let me go off into where we left off. Let's see, with Kelsey. Hey, everybody. Let's see. Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? Hey, Nisi Pooh. How are you? Hey, Tina Brown. Hey, DS Raven. Hey, Cashmere. Every time I get ready to pull up a report, this Emilio Cucci stuff comes up. We're not even in his case. Alrighty, so had to go through my downloads, y'all. Thank you for being patient with me. So we're almost done with Kelsey's testimony. Right after hers, we can get off into Megan's. Let's see. Want to make sure I'm in the right part of the transcript where we left off. I couldn't remember if it was 54 or 55. We're okay, so it's not 54 because that's the aftermath after everything happened. Okay, here we go. We're in 53, page 53 of the transcript. Hey, everybody. Says, since they found Diddy's tapes, wonder if Tory's tape will ever see the light of day. Cupid's bow, it ain't too much longer. It's been too long of a journey for sure. Stuff shouldn't have had to go this far, but if we're tired of this, just imagine how he feels. It says you gotta have a cigar. Baby, you know I got a cigar. I got a good one too. Hey, Lakia. Hey, these shorts. Hey, Amaya. Hey, Cashmere. Let's see. Hey, Naya. Said, I know that they're going to drop that tape. Y'all see how 2024 is going. This is totally unrelated. The spirit of 2024, y'all. When I tell you everybody is being dragged out in the street, I got a DM today from somebody who still currently works in music, where I'm from, and they're about to drop a list of violent and we'll say intimate offenders from the music scene here where I live. And they sent that out as a warning to let people know you might as well start preparing to separate yourself from people and their brands. So I want y'all to know this is not just, you know, the people that y'all used to seeing on TV. This is everywhere. And this is the person who sent it to me is someone who still currently is working in the industry, and they work between here and overseas. So yeah, it's like that. The 2024 is taking all the trash to the curb, y'all. But let me go and jump back in where we were at so that we can get off into the rest of Kelsey's transcript. Said the Most High is working past overtime, my God. Well, listen, everybody had an expiration date. These people thought that they can extend it. No such thing. Alrighty. So we're on page 53. We're still in Kelsey Harris testimony. This would be, if you have the PDF for the testimony, I'm literally on page 53 of 83. Interview for Kelsey Harris 2.pdf. All right. So it says, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm in the right PDF. Hold on. Glad I read that. I'm going to come back to this, though. That's not the trial testimony. That's, my apologies. That's her original interview that was supposed to be strike from the record when she said she didn't tell the truth. We're going to get off into that too. Like I said, we're getting off into all things Tory until Tory comes home. Here we go, 60. Now I'm in the right one. So it's, the date is December the 14th, 2022, trial testimony 1, Kelsey Harris. Page 60 of 110. Now I'm in the right document. My apologies, everybody. So, all right, let me go back to the last question so I can make sure everybody's up to date. All right, it says, didn't you tell us you felt betrayed by Meg? Answer, that night, yes. Question, didn't you tell us afterwards you felt betrayed by Meg because she didn't tap down the rumors that you took hush money? Now, for everybody who was here with me the last time we read this, remember, the rumors for hush money originated from allegations that came from Meg, right? So the prosecutor is rehashing that Kelsey is upset because Meg didn't clear the air about her receiving alleged hush money from Tory Lanez. Answer, she created the rumor that I took hush money. Question, and that made you upset, didn't it? Answer, yes. Question, again, The defendant made several attempts to offer you money or offer you favors in exchange for staying quiet. Is that right? This is where Tory's lawyer interjects. He says, objection, asked and answered. Court, sustained. Ms. Tao, which is the prosecutor, question, did you tell us in September that when Tory was coming towards you, again, you stepped in and that's when the altercation happened? He physically assaulted you and Quan came and tried to separate you from Tory. Tory's lawyer interjects again. Objection, asked and answered. Court overruled. It's a slightly different question. This is what the judge says. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to the way that the prosecution and the judge are bouncing off of each other here, because the prosecution already knows that everything that was said was fraudulent. And even though she knows that everything that was said was fraudulent because Kelsey said that what she said was fraudulent, she's still trying to question Kelsey on things that she said that were fraudulent. So that in itself is like, why are you rehashing the lies that she told you as if they were facts when she said herself on the stand that these things are fraudulent? Now, for me, I feel like the prosecutor was trying to lead her into perjury as long as it coincided with the case that she was trying to build. Because why would I reaffirm something that I told you that's not true? So the witness said, I'm sorry, say that again, Ms. Tao. Question, did you tell us in September when Tory was coming towards you, that's when you stepped in and that's when the altercation occurred? Tory physically assaulted you and Quan tried to separate you from Tory. Answer, Question, did you tell us? Did you tell us that? Question, I said that. Question, did you tell us that Tory was either hitting you with a closed fist or slapping you? You know it was a physical altercation. You can't remember whether or not it was a slap or a closed fist, but you remember being physically assaulted. Now, pay attention to this line of questioning. The prosecutor it's almost as if she's leading her and badgering her at the same time, because she's asking her to admit that Tory put hands on her, and then she's reminding her that she doesn't remember the altercation while trying to make her tell her about an altercation that she says she doesn't remember. Answer, again, I said a lot of things. Question, did you tell us that you were wearing a necklace with your name on it and that necklace broke off during the altercation? Answer, yeah, I guess. Question, is that what happened? Answer, no. Question, you had a necklace that broke off that night, didn't it? Answer, I don't know if it fell or if it broke. I don't know. It wasn't on me. Question, I'm showing you what's being marked as People's 3. So she's talking about People Exhibit 3. She's showing what's supposed to be evidence. Can you take a look in front of you? Do you recognize that? Answer, yes. Question, did that belong to you? Answer, yes. Question, do you know what happened to it that night? So she's referring to Kelsey's necklace. Now, it's a possibility it could have been broken in the altercation between her and Meg. It's possible it could have fell off during the altercation. It could have been broken while they were separating people during the altercation. Says, answer, I just realized it wasn't on me. Question, at one point do you realize that? Answer, Honestly, the next day I realized it was missing. So y'all keep that information right there. That's key information. Everything was moving so fast in this altercation. She didn't even realize that she didn't have her necklace on. So the it's interesting because it makes you wonder, was it found in the street? Did it break off in the car? Well, in the truck rather, because the altercation between the two women started in the vehicle. So did it break off in the vehicle and it was up under the seat somewhere? Like, she's not saying how it was retrieved. She's just saying she realized the next day she didn't know where it was. Question. And then I'm going to show you what's marked as People's 8. So People Exhibit 8, which is evidence. Do you recognize that? Question. Yes. Question. What is that? Answer. That's the chain. Question. What happened to the chain that night? Answer. Again, I don't know how it came off. Question. I'm showing you what's been marked as People 4. Do you recognize that? Answer. It's a nail. Question. Is that your nail? Answer. I don't know if it's my nail. It looks like I don't know if that's my nail. Look like that night. So she's saying that she's not sure if this was her actual acrylic nail, but it looks similar to the ones that she was wearing that night. Y'all remember that? Because both of these women said that there was no altercation. They bumped into each other. So how did the chain get broke? How are we finding acrylic nails? Let's see. Cashmere. Since 1-1 at midnight. Said I overrule those nails. Okay, bye. Said, if you want to see the beginning of the testimony, go watch the Let's Kick It live. Yes. Matter of fact, this. Thank you for helping me keep down the riffraff in the chat. We trying to keep it about what's going on with the docket here. Let's see. So she says this nail looks similar. It says, question, did you tell us in September that your nail broke off because of the altercation between you and Tory? Answer, yes. Question, is that what happened? Answer, no. Okay, now let's remember, they said there was no altercation. They bumped into each other, right? So, thank you, Nisi. Now she's admitting that she didn't break any nails in the altercation with Tory. And she's saying that she doesn't remember an altercation with Tory. So now we're building, guys. We're building to how the nails may have come off and how the necklace got broke. This is where both of their stories get a little cloudy at the same time. Question. Did you tell us during this altercation you became afraid for your life? He was pulling on your hair and your neck, and that's when your necklace came off. Answer. I'm sorry, can you ask that again? Sorry. My mind is, honestly, I'm not here right now. Question. Did you tell us that Tory was pulling on your hair and your neck really hard and that's where the necklace came off? Answer. I did tell you. Yes, I told you that. Question. Did you tell us that at one point it was like a tug of war? Tory would not let go of you, and Quan is trying to pull you away from Tory. Did you tell us that? Answer. Again, I said a lot of things in September. Now, y'all get ready for this because this is where everything switches up. It said Henny used to get those ugly lipstick-shaped nails. said, y'all talking about y'all don't like her nails. Okay. Now, I hate that we don't have any pictures of the evidence because, let's remember this wasn't televised. So we can't see the nails to compare them to social media and what they look like that day. I wish we could, but we don't have any pictures. So, like I said, this is where everything switches up. And she says, she's asking her, did you tell us that Quan is trying to get all of you guys back in the car? Answer, that's not true. Question, how did you guys get back in the car? Answer, we just got back in the car. So, y'all, we just got back in the car after all of this stuff happened. Just comfortably, quietly just got back in the car. That's pretty much what she's saying. Says, so what happened after you saw Meg on the driveway? The witness, Your Honor, I'm sorry, but my mind is just not here. Like, I don't know, ma'am. I got in the car, Miss Tao. Did anyone else approach you and Meg while you were with her by the driveway? Answer, I don't know. We all gathered to get in the car. Question, once you got in the car, what happened? Answer, it became a blur. I don't really know. Okay, so that's the end of page 63. We're going into page 64 of Kelsey's testimony. Let me see what y'all saying over here. So Kelsey even says they pressured her for those statements, and we can tell her and Meg were both coached to say similar things, like describing the bumps between her and Meg. Yeah, that's where I said both of their testimonies became hazy in that same spot, the exact same way, and I found that to be very interesting. Because they both like, oh no, we just bumped into each other. It's like, y'all did who? Says, you don't remember anything in the car. I mean, there's a lot of, I wouldn't say it's not arguing because nobody's arguing, but everybody's just, it's a blur. Now, I want to say that she's coasting on the I was highly inebriated. Description to where it's like I don't remember much because I'm inebriated. If any of you have ever been to court before or witnessed a trial, lawyers will always tell you not to give a definite yes or no if you are not sure, or if there's something that you could answer that may not put you in the best light. You're supposed to say not to my understanding or as far as I know, but I'm not sure. So this is what she's doing where she's saying, I don't know, I'm not sure. That way they can't say that she's lying because she's not giving a clear, concerted answer. Okay, it says, question, did you send a text to Justin Edison while you were in the car after the pow-powing? Now, for all of you who don't know, Justin Edison was Megan's bodyguard. This was the one who was filmed in the pool with her when they were talking about, the weapon in the pool. So she's saying yes, which means she sent him a text. Witness, Your Honor, can I break? The court, this is the judge. He said, you need a break? Witness says yes. The court, do you want to speak to your attorney or do you want to take a few minutes? The witness, I can speak to him, but I just need to use the restroom. The court, why don't we take a 15-minute break? We'll take it a little early. Remember the admission. Don't discuss the case. Don't form or express any opinions. We'll see you back at 2:45. So now the deputy is allowing everybody to be removed from their seats and exit the courtroom. They're going on a 15-minute break. Says a recess is taken in this matter. The court, this is the judge, says we are back on the record in the Peterson matter. All parties are present. The 12 jurors and the 3 alternates are present. Ms. Harris is still on the witness stand. Let me remind you, Ms. Harris, you're still under oath. Mrs. Tao, if you'd like to resume your direct examination. So that's the prosecutor. Question, Kelsey, when you guys all got back in the car, did you tell Meg you had been injured? Answer, I'm sorry, there was a noise. What was the last part? Question, when you guys got back in the car, did you tell Meg that you had been injured? Answer, again, I wasn't looking. Everything was kind of fast-paced, so. Question, well, at any point did you notice if she had injuries? Answer, no, ma'am. Question, what's going on with you today as far as where you're at mentally? Y'all, this is the most facetious back and forth I've ever seen. Now, she told you that she wasn't all there today, that, she wasn't feeling at her best. And now when you can't get her to go over things that she told you that were not true in her last statement, now she wants to question her mental health on the stand, y'all. Answer, I told you where I am mentally. Question, okay, well, what happened between September and today? It says, I feel like Kelsey tried to help Tory in the end, but it was too late. Says Sean Kelly was compromised, but Kelsey did try to help Tory and herself. Let's see, it says, question, right? Well, in September, when you spoke with us, you gave us a lot of details, detailed statements about what happened. Is that right? Answer, yes, ma'am. Question, and you were telling us today you don't remember a lot of it because it's a blur. Is that right? I'm sorry, say that again. The noise. Question, you're telling us that as you sit here today, a lot of it is a blur. A lot of it is a blur. Is that right? Answer, yes, ma'am. Question, what happened between September and today that you have forgotten everything? Answer, I told you what I am going through. Question, and when you talk about what you are going through, what are we talking about? The death in the family, correct? I'm sorry, that coughing, say that again. So it's interesting that she keeps talking about a noise in the background and somebody coughing. I find that to be intriguing because usually in a courtroom, if somebody keeps coughing, it's considered a disturbance and they have them to exit the courtroom. So I want to know, who is this that keeps coughing and making these disturbances in the gallery? Happy birthday, Kimberly Stallworth. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm not missing too much. Said Sean Kelly sold his house before or after the trial, and the house sold really quickly. Sean Kelly sold his house after the trial. It was like he put his house up during the time he was doing testimony. So yes, it was a quick sale. You're correct on that. I agree, but the fist pull and the fist and the pulling on the neck is Most definitely describing Megan. Um, it sounds more like a whole physical altercation for sure. And usually with girls do pull hair. It's not typical for men to just pull hair and pull your neck. That's more so things that women do in an altercation. Is not impossible, just not highly probable. Said Kelsey didn't help anyone. She did what she was best. She did what was best for Kelsey. Said exactly. Kelsey scrubbed the ground with Henny. Oh, okay. You saying it was one of the jurors? Usually, no matter who it is in the gallery, if you keep causing a disturbance, health wise or not. Now, mind you, remember they said they had 3 alternate jurors. So if this juror was under the weather and it was becoming a disturbance to the courtroom, why didn't they just alternate that jury with the alternate juror and keep going, right? Said not Kel lying like a mofo as well. Um, well, here's the thing. She told him that what she said back in September wasn't true, but the majority of her testimony, she's saying, I don't know, I don't remember. So actually, she's not really lying. She's just not telling them what they want to hear. And when you're in court and you say, not to my recollection, or not that I can remember, they can't hold you to it as a lie later because you didn't say a definitive yes or no. So that was probably a tactic given to her by her lawyer so that she wouldn't perjure herself. Said, wonder if it was Kelsey's lawyer coughing. I doubt if it was a lawyer. They would have called them to the bench. Tory had no marks on him at all. Kelsey's own lawyer was there separate from these attorneys. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't let my client go on the stand without me being there for counsel. Said it was said that one of the juror members worked for not Cubic Zirconia Nation. Y'all are funny. Well, I also heard that a few of the jurors were also possibly YouTubers. So I don't know how true that is, but if it is true, it's a lot that was compromised. And why didn't any of them come forward after this was over to discuss their experience as a juror? Because high profile cases, they usually interview the jurors for, big TV style interviews like Good Morning America and things like that. So let's see, where was I at? Okay, she's talking about the coughing. Question said, you had a death in the family? Answer, yes, ma'am. Question, you didn't want to be here, correct? Answer, I have other things that I can be tending to. I have to make funeral arrangements still. A sick baby, there's a lot of different things. Question, this shooting that happened, you never been around a shooting before, correct? Answer, no, ma'am. Question, no, it's not correct, or yes, it's correct. Answer, I've never been around a shooting. Question, it's a pretty big deal around a shooting, isn't it? Answer, I would assume so, yes. Question, that's something you'd probably remember pretty well if you were around a shooting, correct? Tory's lawyer objects. Argumentative. Court overruled. You can answer. Now, like I said, I want y'all to pay attention between the prosecutor and the judge. Anytime I say court, the court, that is the judge. The judge is giving her a lot of leeway to lead her into answers, because what she's trying to what she's trying to insinuate here is, if this is such a traumatic experience, you should have remembered it. Now, I want y'all to understand that sometimes a situation can be so traumatic that it could cause someone to have blocks in their memory out of, PTSD. And she knows this as a prosecutor, but what she's trying to do is pressure her into saying something different, and then she could say that she perjured herself and then have her thrown out as a witness. Question. Well, you remember a lot of the heat that you guys had after the shooting, correct, from the public? Answer. It's actively. Question. Right. Now, what she's comparing, guys, is apples to oranges, because she's saying, well, you don't remember what happened that night, but you remember the beef that came afterwards. It's pretty, clear that if she was inebriated that evening and then things happened after the event, chances are she's sobered up afterwards. And when she's saying it's actively, that means that things are ongoing. So how could she forget something that hasn't stopped? It's an ongoing situation. So question says, right. It's not like you have a chance to forget about what happened that day. You're consistently reminded about it. Isn't that right? Answer. I also do take social media breaks. Question. It's all right, but in the 2 years that you're consistently reminded about your involvement or you being present during the shooting, is that right? Yes. Question. You're telling us that between September and now you've forgotten a lot of the details. Is that what you're telling us? Once again, this is leading, is speculation, and she's comparing apples to oranges. She's asking her about her forgetting what happened that one night versus a lot of drama that's happening in social media. Let's remember, the people in social media were not there, and a lot of what happened in social media was due to people bullying her out of speculation. So how could she remember what happened that night due to what everybody is saying in social media when these people were not there to actually witness what happened? Hey, Cat Eyes, honey, how are you? So she knows what she's doing. Like I said, it's apples to oranges. The two don't compare. If somebody's harassing me in social media because they're a friend of yours and they're saying what you said happened versus actually being there and saying what happens, those are two totally different things. Said Kathy Ty makes you want to slap her. She definitely is agitating, I'll say that, because she keeps rehashing things that she knows are not true. Because Kelsey already said at the beginning, everything that she said in that investigative meeting where they had her sit down in September was not true, and it was coerced, and she was forced into giving them a testimony. So how could she give you a testimony on something she already said was coerced in the first place? And a lot of it was not true. Said the fact that no eyewitness corroborates Megan's account of what happened, that Tory was pow-powing over the back of the window where Kelsey would have been sitting, should have raised a lot of questions anyway. I agree. And the last All Things Tory live that we did, I actually stood up because I asked everyone in the chat, how tall is Tory? Because we're talking about a truck here. We're not talking about a car that has a low clearance to the ground. Tory's not that much taller than me. I'm not tall. So if you are to go over the window, I would think it would be easier to go between the door jamb when you open the door, which means you're in between. But if he's in the front in between, that means he has to have hella good aim, because he has to aim between the front door straight across the back. And we don't know if the back door was closed or open, on top of the fact that it would limit his range if he's reaching over the window and he's not that tall. So what I'm trying to figure out here is, why doesn't the prosecution have a ballistics report? Because any situation like this, there is a ballistics report from the police where somebody comes out and they show the trajectory from where the person was standing versus where the impact was, so that they could literally take a string from one location to the next, or they take a laser from one location to the next, and they can show you where the person actually was and the trajectory of how that bullet was able to travel. And they know the velocity of how that bullet was able to travel, one, by the type of handgun that it was, and two, what was the wind that evening, and then the angle. So it just was very confusing to me that there was no ballistics test whatsoever to show us the trajectory that evening. How is it possible to prosecute somebody and to have all these different locations of where somebody said that, they were aiming from, but not one detective was put on the stand? Notice what I'm saying. Not one detective was put on the stand to say, hey, these are where all the markers were in the street, and we did a ballistics test, checked the trajectory, and this is how we knew where it came from. That's basic police investigative work. Said there was luggage in between him and Kelsey, meaning he would have had to climb over that. Right. And let's remember, he and Kelsey were in the back seat. So that explains why it took so long for him to get out of the vehicle, to get in between the females, because he either had to climb over the luggage to get out to break them up, or he had to go out of a separate door and come around. Said we don't even know who owns the gun to this day. Well, they're saying that they sealed it, but from what I'm hearing, it was actually in Kelsey's name. Now, we don't know if Kelsey got it in her name, because she has the right to legally register a possible handgun. But bigger than that is, whose possession was it in? If we go by EJ's testimony, EJ said that he did not pack Kelsey's belongings because he did not work for her. He only packed Megan's bags, and he saw what appeared to be like a taser in Megan's handbag. Now, what I never understood was, why didn't the defense or the prosecution ask EJ to describe that taser so we knew more about what it looked like? Police issued tasers have a handle that looks like a firearm. So did it have a handle like a firearm? What color was it? What was the details of it? That we don't know. But we do know in Megan's bag, according to EJ's testimony, he saw something that could have appeared to be a taser. So we know between the two of them, the only one where it was definitive that there was a weapon, something for defense in their carry-on, it was Megan. We don't know for sure if Kelsey had anything, but we do know something was in Megan's bag, according to EJ, and EJ doesn't drink. He was one of the 3 people that did not drink that evening. Let me see. I want to make sure. Okay, so yes, you just said it was Megan's, right? Why would Tory need a pow if he had his bodyguard? Right. Because chances are the bodyguard legally has the right to carry and conceal, right? Says Millie reported that they didn't even have, what is that? It says markers. They ripped pieces of paper and set them, what? Oh no, that means that that's not even a proper investigation, which means once again that this case should have been thrown out, because they properly should have come out with markers. The markers should have been numbered, and the markers should have been set in every direction that they found evidence. Nails, glass, blood spatter, fragments, and then we should have had pictures of the whole entire street so that we could see how the crime scene looked. This is so Mickey Mouse it don't make sense. Said it's just common sense. Why wouldn't Kelsey or Tory bring a pow pow? Right. Said the pow pow looked as if it could be owned by a female. Well, they're saying that the color was green. Also, let's remember that Cedars-Sinai's report for the fragments and what they said the type of weapon it was did not match the weapon that was in the vehicle. That's something as well that's not being talked about. Said Cashmere, her shades match the pow pow also. Interesting. Said, I remember Henny doing an IG on Tory's balcony during the illness time, and I could have sworn she had a green firecracker. Wow. Ain't that about nothing? She did a whole lot of going live on his balcony saying a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Interesting how all that stuff on her balcony is now relevant today. Said Millie said that EJ saw a pow pow in Meg's bag. Well, according to his testimony, I'm telling you what the testimony says. He said in his testimony what he saw looks similar to a taser. Now, that's why I said, why didn't the defense or the prosecution ask him to describe the taser? Because some tasers have a handle on them like this versus holding it like this. So nobody asked for him to describe the way that it looked. If he described the way that it looked, we may have already gotten to the bottom of what was in her bag. Said Sean Kelly's son found the last bullet that was not included as evidence, which means it was a shoddy investigation, because they were supposed to, you know, pretty much rope off the whole entire street, canvas, you know, that block for evidence. And whatever his son found should have went into evidence, and his prints should have went into evidence, which automatically he was ruled out because he was in a house. But they need to know whose all prints was on that bullet, because if that bullet was intact, then that means you possibly had the fingerprints of the person who loaded the weapon on that bullet as well. So how did that not make it into evidence? That makes no sense. So we all need to get checked for this. It's olive green, kind of shiny. I still remember how it looks. Wow. So Henny says she always carries a firecracker. No way Tory could have had one. He was in swim trunks. No, baby, he was in his drawers. Remember, Tory came over in his regular clothes, and he took off his clothes, and when he got into the hot tub, he had on boxers. When he was stretched out in the street, he never got a chance to put his clothes on. He still had on boxers. Those weren't even swimming trunks. He was in his drawers. So that goes back to when she got put out of Kylie's house. Whatever she did was so explosive, he just had to grab his stuff and go. He didn't have a chance to get dressed. Said the taser I own has a handle on it. See, thank you, Cashmere. That's what I'm saying. They should have asked EJ. Both sides of lawyers should have asked EJ to describe what the taser looked like, because let's say he only saw, the handle. He didn't see the barrel, right? Did it have a handle? Did it have a trigger? How did it look? Nobody asked that question, which was a very important question. Said this is the same person that did her homework, for crying out loud, mind you. She's just the assistant. What would she need a pow for? Well, interesting question. I mean, I'm not going to say what would she need one for. I mean, they were both out with no security. So, being that these are women that come from the South, when you come from the South, having a pow is not that big a deal. For me, what I was thinking, especially with the references that Henny's been making lately, where she keeps referencing it in her freestyles, that she keeps one in her purse, is, can Henny legally possess one? And if she can, why doesn't she have one that's registered? Because if she's being attacked and she legally has one and it can be registered, why didn't she use that for defense? Because she could have legally defended herself if he was attacking her, according to her story. So I don't believe that she legally has one that's registered, or that she can get one that's registered, because she may not be allowed to get a CPL. So EJ said that he may have seen her with something that looks like a pow, but that's none of his business. Well, I remember an old video. I don't know if any of you seen this. She had a lime green bob wig with the part on the side, and she was doing a freestyle, and she had what appeared to be a green pow in that video, and she was doing a freestyle. It wasn't that big. It was about this big, and she had it in her hand. That, just like her medical video where she, looked like she was in triage in the emergency room, happened to come off of social media after she did that second video where I want to say she went live on Tory's birthday, if I'm not mistaken. But it was an old video. Said, I want to hear Sean Kelly's conversation with the dispatcher. The dispatcher had to tell him it was a pow being fired, and was on the phone with him the entire time until they got in the SUV and drove off. They're trying to conceal the 911 call. I have a copy of it somewhere. I want to believe in my email or one of my DMs. The one that I have, he's talking to the dispatcher, and you can clearly hear people in the background screaming, Megan, no. Megan, stop. Megan, stop. Said, the whole thing makes me sick. I'm hoping and praying the AG sees everything we do. Justice for Tory. Well, the thing is, his legal team, hopefully they have some paralegals that are doing exactly what we're doing, and they're collecting everything to, put together so that they can present them before the court. Said exactly, Megan doesn't have a bodyguard anymore because she was messing with him too. That's kind of messed up, because the bodyguard was dating one of her dancers. Said Jaguar Wright keeps saying Tory Lanez wasn't into Henny because she ain't all she ain't all femmy. What do you think? I won't say that. What I will say is, I think they trauma bonded over the loss of both of their mothers. And because he understood the pain of losing your mother, he opened up and he was very sympathetic towards her. And had that not have been a connection between them, I don't think she would have been able to get that close. Said, where's Kareem York? He fell off of the earth after Millie located him. It would be nice if they brought him into court and made him testify as a character witness to her being a DV abuser, or if they were to, get the case file for that situation and present that. So in your drawers in front of, in your drawers in the hot tub as well. Well, let's remember, Iman, he was not supposed to be at the kickback. He was invited to the kickback last second by Megan via a request of Kylie. Kylie told Megan to call him. She called him. He came over. Kylie wanted to work with Tory because Tory had the hottest IG show during the whole quarantine with Quarantine Radio. And Quarantine Radio was doing so well that they were getting ready to launch, a whole project out of Quarantine Radio. Remember, it was him and D Nice that pretty much set IG on fire. So she wanted to do cross marketing and work with him, possibly be a guest on his show, or have him come and do an episode of Quarantine Radio from her house. Now, Megan called because Kylie requested it. And in EJ's testimony, EJ made it more than clear that Kylie was excited. Kylie couldn't wait to meet him. Kylie was all over the idea of working with Tory. So during this time, Kelsey is in the bed asleep, guys. Let's remember this. Kelsey fell asleep in the pool on the floaty. EJ went and got her out the pool because he didn't want her to roll over and wake up in the upper room. He went and got her out the pool, walked her to the room that Kylie provided for them. They said it was a suite that had its own, not a deck. Pretty much it was like it was so big it was like an apartment. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Come on now. I appreciate you too, sweetheart. I definitely do. Like I said, we're going to do this every 2 weeks until we get them home. He walked her down the hallway to the bedroom. That was a suite that was provided for them by Kylie. He put her in the bed. She passed out, went to sleep. So while all of this is going on, Kelsey has no idea. She's out of it. She's asleep, right? So during this time, EJ is letting us know that Megan is becoming a tad bit abrasive. She's becoming argumentative. She is becoming disrespectful towards Kylie. She's speaking to her in a way that she should not be speaking to this woman in her own home. He let us know that he also called T. Ferris to let T. Ferris know that her behavior was unbecoming and he felt like it was time for them to leave. This is where EJ goes back to the room to go pack the things to get them ready to go. Now, mind you, when Kelsey wakes up and comes out, Tory is already there. She didn't even know that he was called there. So she comes out with the kickback in progress. Tory's there. And I know all of you remember that live video where Kylie and Megan are in the hot tub. Kelsey is asleep. Now, Tory walks up to the hot tub because he had just got to the house. He comes over, he lit like a Christmas tree. Everybody lit at this point. And it's obvious in the hot tub that something was starting to brew because you could tell that Megan had become agitated. And she's telling him, go on, don't get my phone wet. So, you know, like I said, everybody's lit. You could tell Tory's, you know, he's a happy drinker. Tory removed his clothes and everything so he could get in the hot tub with them. This is how he gets in the hot tub with his boxers on. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get back here with you guys so I can go back into the testimony. Said, of the new DNA, and all of a sudden the DNA is gone in Tory's case, evil people. Well, here's the thing. What DNA did they have all along? Because they should have had the DNA for the weapon. They didn't let us know if all of the bullets were discharged from the weapon. Like, when they let off the 5, was that all that was in the weapon and that's why it stopped, or was there another one still in the weapon? They did not let us know whose fingerprints were on the magazine, because whoever's fingerprints were on the magazine is the one who actually loaded the weapon, and that would let you know primarily who had a better chance of using the weapon. Said, I feel like Meg paid off Kareem and scared him off. Texas girls are known for having weapons. In 2020, a 9mm handgun was the top 3 guns of women in the United States based on that style, size, and model. Thank you for that. And I tell people all the time, like, I used to live in Tennessee. When I moved to Tennessee, my ex, his father, as a welcome present, a housewarming present, when he came over, he was like, welcome to the South. And he bought me a handgun because he said that I was in the South. I need to have one. That was a way of life. So you are absolutely right. Cupid Bow says, Angel, I wonder if Kylie could have said, I wonder if Kylie could have hexed Megan, because remember Henny stated continually laughing out of nowhere in the vehicle and acting erratic and stupid at Kelsey. I don't think that came from a hex, sweetheart. I believe that there's a undisclosed condition, because she didn't just do that in the vehicle. It was said that she was doing that at the party intermittently before Kelsey went and got into bed, and after Kelsey went and got into bed, she had done that off and on. And they were saying that she was acting very peculiar. She was bizarre, you know, intermittently throughout the day before they got into the vehicle. And then that behavior happened again in the vehicle. So when I heard that, and they're saying by the time they came back around to come and get the alleged slides, the flip-flops, the house had cleared out. So what I wanted to know is, why did the house clear out? Why did everybody leave? Did they leave because they were made to feel uncomfortable because there was some kind of tension? Or did they leave because Kylie wanted privacy with Tory? We don't know, because that was never addressed. But that's something very important, because if they left because it was an uncomfortable situation, then we need those people in court as character witnesses to tell us how she was behaving, what made them uncomfortable, and why they actually left. Said, that's a fact, Miss Nita. We know his IG and everything is gone. Said, I want to find out more about the guardianship. That could be why she couldn't get a gun in her name. KKH, now you're cooking with hot grease. That is exactly what I was alluding to. Maybe she convinced her friend to get her one because she can't get one in her own name, because if you have a certain type of history, they will not clear you to get one. And if there is a mental health issue, that is a very solid reason as to why you cannot get one registered and you cannot legally have one. Let's see, they sealed Sean Kelly's 911 call and you can only get it with the court order. That's crazy as hell. Mrs. Dita, absolutely. The one that I have from social media from an excerpt. So I'm not sure if it's the full 911 call, but you can clearly hear people in the background screaming. You can hear a man saying, Megan, stop. And they keep saying, Megan, stop over and over again. So my thing is, why didn't they ask Sean Kelly what exactly was she doing in that moment when the man was screaming for her to stop? Said that wasn't Sean Kelly. That was the other witness on the 911 call. No. They have multiple calls from that block. I have the Sean Kelly one, but I don't believe it's the full call. The other call is from a woman. They have multiple neighbors that call. Now, they have a woman who was a witness who lived on the opposite side of the street. They never called that woman into court. Now, I'm wondering why. What was wrong with her testimony that you didn't want to get an account from her where she could have the other vantage point of the street? Because if she was an actual witness to what was going on, chances are these witnesses could have corroborated each other's story. And like one of the young ladies said earlier, nobody's story corroborated Meg's account of what happened. Absolutely not one person that was there heard dance, bitch, dance. The other witness who lived across the street could have also told us about the alleged altercation that never happened in the middle of the street where nails just happened to fall off. So why didn't they allow that lady to come forward and testify? Said Monique said there's a video. Her granddad works for LAPD. Now, I do know that Monique has said that her family works for law enforcement. She said that several times over. So that's very interesting. I feel like Meg, y'all, it got to rain and hard as all get out outside. Said, I feel like Meg ruined the relationship between her and her dancer. I mean, hey, if that's your man and she's all up in your man's face, that would do it. Hey, Hunter, how are you, sweetie? Said, yes, trauma bonding. Some of her lyrics implicate having a weapon. Like, yes, baby, you better say that, Queen. I've been telling people about that Diamond song for a minute. The Diamond song not only implicates her having a pow and pulling it on somebody, putting it to their face. She also, in the first verse and the second verse, described being very violent. The first verse, she talked about, don't be scared if I pull it at you. She talks about cocking it back and shooting. The next verse, she said, what was the line? You want me to be more ladylike? What if I pull up with my friends? What she say? What if I pull up with my girls and whoop your ass on ladies' night? So both verses, she was talking about being extremely violent and confrontational with men. So thank you for bringing that up. It says the song lyrics to Diamond with Normani. Megan said, I know how to work a gun. I don't need a range. And I can take a hit. I'm not scared of the pain. She sure did. She sure did. And if they're going to use lyrics in court, that right there shows you that she is all about, getting physical with a man. Now, any of you that remember that video where she was on the balcony and she described the altercation with her and her ex, and she was like, ladies, I suggest you keep your hands to yourself, because if the police pull up, he gonna say that you hit him and you gonna go to jail. And if I whooped his ass, I whooped his ass. She admitted to whooping her ex-boyfriend, said that she was getting the best of him. Said, I hope Tory sues Henny for everything she has. Well, he got to stand in line, sweetheart, because she got a lot of lawsuits right now. Says she was jealous of Kylie and didn't want Tory to be alone with her. I feel like that makes sense, because I would think if Tory is at the house and I left my slides and me and him are cool. We got a decent relationship. I would just tell him, like, send him a text message, like, "Hey, I left my slides. Can you grab them for me?" Or tell the driver, "Hey, when you get back to the house, can you do me a favor and let them know I left my slides and just grab them for me?" It wasn't worth having him turn around, take you back to the house, and then you go in the house and show out, and they got to throw you out the house. And I mean, you supposed to have money. What's a pair of slides? You can go get a few more. Said can't take that horse nowhere. Don't know how to act right. Well, the alcohol definitely is a factor. Said for real, that horse don't know how to act, especially when she's drunk. That's why Kylie kicked her out. That's what happens when you catch feelings and lie about it. I agree. I agree. I believe that. I don't even think it was just that she caught feelings. You got to think about it. Megan thought that, you know, Tory wasn't able to do better than her and her friend to the magnitude of being able to pull somebody like Kylie. Kylie's a different level. When you look at, she owns this house, you know, she's being written up as a potential billionaire in Forbes. That's a sugar mama. That's a whole different level right there. So I think when she looked at the reach, the ability that he had to be able to pull somebody like that, and he could do it in her face, it kind of, you know, was a blow to her ego, because she wants to be the one that can one up somebody. Said I'm watching that Kai Kai and horse live right now, and the horse definitely had an attitude. See, thank you. You could tell in that hot tub, like, she was very agitated. She had a high key attitude. She was sucking her teeth and just, and don't get my phone wet, and just, and then she got her phone and she's turning this way, and you could tell Kylie felt a little off kilter, but she kept up, you know, the appearance, because of course she's a social media personality. She's a TV personality, so she wasn't going to break character as long as that camera was on. She continued to smile and keep everything going. But you best believe when they left, she had a conversation with Tory, like, "Look, what's the deal? What's going on with her?" Said they only blamed Tory and none of the examiners did their job properly. Well, in the beginning, they didn't even blame Tory. It wasn't until she came back and did those lives. And then when she did those lives, next thing you know, it ended up in the hands of the state of California. Now, what I'm trying to figure out is, why did the state of California pick this up and use this as a assault and GSW case, when the initial paperwork, the initial reports that went in said that she cut her foot on glass, and even she said it herself. The police put that in their report. The police went back to the hospital to finalize their report with the doctor. Everyone had the cut her foot on glass story. So why did they allow this story to be changed? That's the real question. How did that happen? Said I lost my sister to a firecracker violence. I'm scared to own or be around one. I'm sorry to hear that, sweetheart. Said I know I need a firecracker, but still, I mean, hey, if it gives you anxiety, you don't have to have one. Said people left the party because of the way Henny was acting. Well, Cashmere, that's why I said all those people should have been in court to describe the tenor of the room. Because if those people could remember what happened, because let's remember, EJ told us that there were 12 people there, and out of the 12 people, 3 of them didn't drink. He was one of the 3 that didn't drink. Odell Beckham didn't drink, and then the white gentleman that he brought with him, who was also a football player, didn't drink as well. So definitely the people who did not drink should have been in court, because they were the most lucid. And then we should have went down the line of everybody else, including Corey Gamble, because Corey Gamble was there as well. And why wasn't the security footage from Kylie's house entered into evidence? Because those high class, wealthy homes have security systems in and out of the house at all times. We could have gotten to see what all built up in the house before they left. Said this makes sense of why Cardi will say something, because this was during the WAP video, right? So she knows everything. Yes, this was before the WAP launch, and this is how her and Kylie met, because remember, Kylie did a cameo in the video, and after everything happened, Meg made a request to Cardi B to have Kylie removed from the video. Now, I don't know who she thought she was that she could tell Cardi B who could and who couldn't be in her video, but she definitely made a request to Cardi B to have Kylie removed, because she didn't like that Kylie had posted that picture of her feet showing that her feet were perfectly fine and nothing happened to them, which means Kylie was being shady because she knew that what Meg said about her feet possibly did not happen. Said Kylie and Tory were probably kissing on each other, and that's why Meg got mad and wanted to leave, but refused to leave without Tory. Well, here's the thing. She had already left. Tory had provided for Quan to take her and Kelsey home. They were literally minutes from the house, and Meg kept stating that she needed to go back and get her slide. She needed her shoes. So she made Quan turn around and go back to the house to get her shoes that she said she left. And when she went in the house, next thing you know, all hell broke loose. Kylie threw her out. And however it went, it was so bad that Tory did not have a chance to get dressed. He just left with all his stuff in his boxers, and everything popped off in the truck. So for her to leave and come back, she came back on purpose to make sure they weren't doing anything. And then they, she probably walked in on them, like you said, possibly kissing or up in each other's face. And, alcohol and emotions don't mix, allegedly. Said, I heard that rumor that the Pow Pow was Justin Meg's old bodyguard. He gave it to Meg. Well, from what I've been hearing, and a lot of times my sources are correct, they said that it was Kelsey's, and that's why they sealed it. But the thing is, I believe that Kelsey may have purchased that a long time ago for her, and she's been had it. Kelsey may not have known about, why she had a guardianship, or, the full details of what was going on with her until later on down the line. And at that point, it's too late because it's already in her possession. Meg was definitely the aggressor. Let's see. Another good question is, how did the glass break? Yes. How did the glass break? And when and where did the glass break? And what kind of glass was it? Did anybody test the glass that they claimed that they were pulling out of her foot at the hospital? Because the initial paperwork says irrigation and extraction, which means they were washing out the wound, and they took tweezers to pull the glass out. You do not irrigate a GSW, because you got to make sure that that person has Keflex or some very high-powered antibiotic before you can even eat an ice chip, because it will cause the gunpowder to go throughout the body and turn the body septic. Says Sean Kelly has a British accent. Yes, he does. That's how I know that the copy that I have is actually him. They had multiple police reports from multiple neighbors. They only chose Sean Kelly. So what does that tell you about the prosecution? If the prosecution knew they had it in the bag, why didn't they get everybody that made a police call? Because now they got all the calls locked up. And he has a very thick, distinctive British accent. Said Megan kicked out, hence the glass in her foot. I mean, it's a possibility, but here's the thing. Did they test the glass? Because if that's the case, Iman, that she kicked the glass out, then that means that there should be like a 5% tint in that glass. That means that there could be metal fragments in the glass because some limo tint has metal. So we need to find those so-called, that shrapnel rather, and find out, was it shrapnel or was it actually glass? Because let's remember, they said that it disappeared. They don't know where it's at. They don't know what happened to it. It just happened to just grow some legs and walk away. So I agree, other witnesses should have been called up. Why only Sean Kelly? And remember, the prosecution never brought him up. He just spewed some BS at the end. Well, here's the thing, Amaya. I'm glad that you mentioned that. Sean Kelly was initially a witness for the defense. Next thing you know, the prosecution took him off the stand, took him into the back to talk to him, and when they brought him back, he had become the prosecution's witness. When have you ever seen in the history of life and the legal system that a witness can change being for the defense to the prosecution mid-testimony? And how did the judge allow that to happen? What did they say to him in the back to get him to switch, positions with lawyers? Because when he came back with the prosecution, his story started to change up. And if any of you have the transcript from EJ, please send it to me at Angelkissestheoracle at gmail.com, because they are making everybody jump through hoops and hurdles for EJ's testimony. LA County is really, really, really blocking anyone from getting EJ's testimony, and they're tying up Sean Kelly's testimony. That should tell y'all something right there. Say, yep, Diamond lyrics is crazy. Well, see, that's not the only lyrics that she has like that, but that was after everything happened. So that means that should have been relevant to be used in court if they were using Tory's lyrics that were not applicable to the case. She made this song after this incident happened, which means she still, in her mind, felt that it was okay to be violent towards men, and she actually has a case for DV. So that supports that she still has the mindset of an abuser. Not even being funny, because why are you talking about pulling out a weapon and pointing it at a man and you don't need help? She gave the full rundown to where she's very comfortable with having one and using one and putting one to a man's head. And then the next verse was her talking about pulling up with her girls and beating them up on ladies' night. Said just like Diddy paid off the hotel, the witnesses got paid off of this case because it doesn't add up. We got to say allegedly, but I don't. I like where you're thinking, because we got to understand, why did people start off with one set of testimony and switch to another? And we're not just talking about Sean Kelly. Like, if you look at Kelsey's testimony versus what she witnessed in that September, she said that she was coerced. She was forced into saying certain things, and she was nervous. She was afraid. She just wanted to get out of there. So what in the world were they saying that had people, nervous and, feeling some type of way? And more importantly, what could have been said or done to make Sean Kelly sell his house and get the hell out that damn neighborhood as fast as he did? Because that house was damn near sold on a quick sale. Hey, Empress Fee said Sean Kelly has a British. Okay, I read that one already. Said that 911 call releases Miguel. No, baby, that's not the one I have. I know exactly what Sean Kelly sounds like. Y'all be surprised what I get sent in my email. I know which one you're talking about. I got all kinds of stuff y'all would never expect that somebody has, because people listen to my readings and they send me stuff. You got to remember, all these 911 calls at one point in time were on the Citizens app, and then next thing you know, they started blocking them and trying to seal them. That's how I know it was multiple neighbors that called. That's how I know it was a female neighbor that called as well. So if you've got at least around 4 neighbors who called to report the same thing, why did only one neighbor end up in court on the stand? Where were the other ones? Said, why not just buy more slides? Why not buy more slides, or why not just send a text and say, hey, whenever you get a chance, when I run back by you, just grab them for me and I get them next time I see you. It wasn't that big a deal to go back and cause a ruckus. Said Henny fought Kareem because she found out that he had a baby on her. Mind you, she was the side chick. She ain't never been nobody's main thing until Party came along. Cashmere, that's quite funny that you said that, because when she said that, remember, she said when she got out of jail, she went right back over to his house. So you got to think of the mind of a person that can go to jail, catch a case for putting their hands on somebody, and then go back over to that person's house and be all hooked up with them like you didn't just get out of jail. I don't want to go see somebody that just put me in jail. And did he put her in jail just because she put her hands on him? Or did he put her in jail because she may have been threatening to harm the woman that he was with? You know? Because sometimes these females get to getting in their feelings and they be talking about they going to run down on your chick. And that might have been the real reason that they got into it, because he wasn't going to allow her to hurt the baby's mom. Hey, Cass Tarot. Much love to you as well. Well, Iman, here's the thing. Megan is not going to go to jail for this because she didn't press charges, which means she didn't file a false police report. The case was filed by the state of California. Some states, if you are abused, they can pick up the case and press charges on your behalf. California is one of those states. I live in Michigan. Michigan is also one of those states. So she's going to elude going to jail just for that. She did not press the charges. The state of California did. And then she got on the stand and she admitted that she lied. So now that she's admitted that she's lied, they can't really hold her to anything, but he can definitely tear her up in civil court. Said Tory isn't ugly either. Well, I mean, whether he's ugly or not, I mean, look at Biggie. Biggie told us black and ugly as ever, however I stay Coogee down to the socks. And Biggie had all types of chicks fighting over him. So, hey, if they want you, they want you. Facts, LOL. That's exactly what happened. She doubled Tory's Playboy skills thinking that he couldn't pull Kylie. Right. Yeah, that was her ego that was hurt. Like you gonna pull somebody like that and in my face? How dare you? But here's the thing: how can you be in your feelings when you wasn't supposed to be with him anyway? You the imaginary chick. You the side to the side chick. You supposed to be over in the corner. You the chick that's supposed to, when he on the field, you keep it on the sidelines. Y'all wasn't even supposed to have a thing according to you. Says she sounds like a narcissist. I hope Cedar Sinai faces consequences ASAP. KKH, whenever you get a chance, please go to my community page and scroll down. Cedar Sinai had a huge case that they lost recently, last year, for forging medical documents and charging for services that were not rendered. I posted that because I wanted y'all to know that this is something that will be very pivotal for Tory if his defense takes that and uses that, because let's remember, they got the firearm wrong. The one that they had listed and the shells that they had listed on their paperwork did not match the firearm that was under the seat that the police found. So that cannot really be used as evidence because the evidence does not match. How did you get this? And the police got that. And then, like I said, they, were charging people for medical procedures that they had not, actually rendered on clients. So when she's talking about, oh, I was in surgery and this, that, and the other, okay, well, where's the surgical records? Let's see the notes from the doctor. Who was on staff that day, who, were the nurses, who was the anesthesiologist. Like all of these people, we need to see the records of who was available and who was around when your surgery was actually performed. And if they can't pull that up, then that goes back to the Cedars-Sinai case that they just lost last year for services not rendered and charging people for things that never happened and falsifying paperwork. Said, you think Henny's technique of applying pressure with these weekly freestyles, the ones that she dropped today, said that at the end, I got the best pen of the game? I don't even think that's her applying pressure. I think that's her not being that smart, because while she's talking about she got the best pen in the game, she has a double entendre at the beginning of this freestyle, and then the last freestyle she said something very similar, where she said she always keep a strap in her purse, which was her referencing an adult toy and her having the pow pow in her purse, because they called that the strap, the gat, right? She also makes a mockery of Def Jam at the end of that freestyle, said that Def Jam signing people ain't got no talent. So I want y'all to remember that 300 and Def Jam are pretty much neck and neck, and that's a shot low-key at people affiliated with Lear Cohen. That's not going to age well. That's not going to end well for her. So if she thinks it's applying pressure, it's applying pressure on herself, because I don't think she realized what she's saying and who she's talking to. Said she made Kylie uncomfortable in her own house. Yes, not once, but twice. Because remember, this is why they put her in a car to send her and Kelsey home in the first place, and then she comes back and she gets put out. So what exactly did you do to get put out? That's what we need to know. Said Kelsey was whooping her. Said she was whooping her ass. MTS got the pow pow and fired it. Then realized it was going to make her look crazy because of her previous record and mental health. She pinned it on Tory. This is why I need a copy of Sean Kelly's testimony, because I want y'all, I remember this like it's yesterday. I want you to go back to Sean Kelly's testimony. All of you that are members from the mob, you're going to remember this, because Millie was very, very good at taking notes. She was very distinctive with her notes. Sean Kelly stated that he thought that they were killing her. He said all of them were fighting the big one. The big one he was describing was the bigger female, which is Megan. So if all of them were fighting her and he thought that they were going to unalive her, why in the world would the bodyguard, Tory, and Kelsey all be, fighting or attacking her? My theory is she was the one that had the pow pow. They were trying to unarm her. Excuse me. It went off while they were trying to unarm her. Kelsey ended up with it in her hand. Tory grabbed her wrist, took her arm up in the air. It went off the rest of the way in the air. That's why he didn't have GSW on him. Hey, Central Sassy says, "Hey, Angel, I didn't know you were on here. So happy." Yeah, every 2 weeks on Monday, I come in to do all things Tory. So once cubic zirconia nation. I like y'all being creative. Once cubic zirconia nation got involved, that's when the story got changed. Well, there's one contact person from that place that everybody has in common that they had correspondence with, and that's Des. Let's remember that Kelsey said that in her song Bussin' Back, she said that Des told her if she spoke that an X tape would drop, okay? Tory said that when she spoke to him, she told him don't say anything, pretty much told him that he was not to say anything, and then the next thing he knew, everybody was speaking on social media, and he's like, what the heck is going on? Y'all tried to threaten me into being quiet, and now y'all done flipped this and turned the narrative. I do not think that Des told Henny to go live with this narrative. I think that Henny got nervous, and I think because she got nervous, she jumped the gun, and she went live to get ahead of this. But I believe that Des was going to Olivia Pope this situation and try to sweep it under the rug. But there was somebody else that worked over there at that company, somebody else that's involved at that company that saw the opportunity to use this to their advantage as a way to get back at Tory. And that's where it changed, allegedly. Yes, and she was belligerent. And it seemed like she became increasingly belligerent because let's remember, EJ was packing her things to go. He packed up the vehicle because they got there because of EJ. EJ brought the girls there. EJ was going to take them home. Meg went and unpacked EJ's vehicle and put all the things that were in EJ's vehicle in the hatch in Tory's truck. Now, I don't know who told her that she had permission to put things in Tory's truck, and that might have been another reason why they got into it, because she took it upon herself to volunteer Tory as the way they were getting home so that she could stay and keep an eye on what was going on with Tory. Because they were supposed to be leaving with EJ, and when EJ saw it was a no-win situation, EJ got up out of there. He tried his best to keep the peace. Let's see, what does it say? Did you hear Meg's freestyle today about having the pow pow in her bag? Yes, that's not the first one she's done like that. The other one she did last week had a reference too. Didn't I tell y'all that she was going to mess around and say something in her music she ain't had no business saying that was going to incriminate her? I told y'all she was going to do that. Said, I wholeheartedly feel that Meg had the firearm and fired it in the air. If Kelsey had it, Meg would have still been the victim in the scenario, but the GSW was not reported. And then you got to think about, they never tested Meg for GSW. Everybody went straight to jail, which means all those people that went to jail, they were tested, they took their statements, they released them, they let them go. Meg went to the hospital. She's the only one that wasn't tested for GSW. So because she wasn't tested for GSW, we don't know if she had any residue on her. And it takes days for you to get GSW residue off of your skin unless you real hood and you know a few things about removing GSW. So Meg told Kelsey to lie too. I believe Kelsey in the beginning was threatened because remember, Kelsey, after this all happened, Kelsey found out she was homeless as well with nowhere to go. She let her place go, and now she's in another city. She had to have somebody go and get her stuff for her. She couldn't even get her stuff out the house. And this is how it came about that Henny paid for her to have a new place to stay for a whole year, because she couldn't even go back to the house after all of this happened. She literally lost her job and lost her home all in the same day, and faced possibly having the case. Facts, Corey drove them there, allegedly. Corey Gamble didn't drive them there. EJ did, sweetheart. Corey Gamble was at the house, though. They came over to the house with EJ because EJ was the stylist for Megan. And let's remember, all of this was during the time that they were recording the video for WOW. So this was all like, building relationships and marketing. But Corey Gamble was definitely at the house, though. Said it might be crazy, it might be a crazy theory, but I heard this rumor only once. What I heard that Chloe wasn't happy that she had the pow pow. I mean, anything is possible. This is a very weird situation where the facts are stranger than fiction. Said, and Cardi knows everything, rolled for you, etc., and you throw shots at her and then call her, yeah, that racial slur, called her a dirty Mexican. And that's another thing. Like, how do you start a tequila company speaking about Hispanic people that way? That is crazy to me. Said, one to pow pow if Chloe was following that SUV. It might just be me. Wow. Now, I've never heard that before, but it would be intriguing if that's where the actual cell phone video came from of whoever recorded what happened, because it's kind of strange that a random person is out in such a wealthy, affluent neighborhood, riding through the neighborhood, listening to these people yelling and screaming at each other. Not impossible, just kind of odd. Nikki said that was what Megan said about Cardi Hunter. And then next thing you know, Cardi dropped that This Ain't What You Want and the Enough song. And I believe both those songs were a response to Megan, because Cardi knew that Nikki wasn't lying about what she said. So instead of going off and cussing her out on social media like she usually does, she dropped music to respond to her. Says, how did they only have inside ring camera footage of the pow pows but no footage of the outside cameras in that rich neighborhood? Great question. When I did an energy pull on it, the Ace of Pentacles came out with the Seven of Swords, which allegedly looks like somebody paid to have certain footage collected and removed. They just didn't expect somebody to have cell phone footage. Said, yes, Millie did say that, which means that's going to have to be discussed because of how did it happen. Said the whole time she was worried about Tory giving up the sweets to Kylie. That's why she went back. I totally believe that's the reason why she went back. Because if you went in there to go find your shoes, wouldn't you go to where the last place you remembered having them, or go back to the room where y'all packed all the clothes? Like, why are you going outside to the hot tub to see what they're doing in the hot tub? You never got your shoes? said I try to stay unbiased from this case. Just the case went south, really left really quickly. Um, I've been unbiased in this whole entire case, and that's why I'm saying, where is certain evidence? Why is certain evidence missing? Why didn't they dismiss this case when certain evidence became missing? Why didn't they present all the neighbors' 911 calls and have all the neighbors that called to come on the stand and give an account of what they witnessed? The young lady who allegedly had the camera phone did try to contact the police. She did try to turn over the camera phone evidence. And the officer that she tried to turn it over to no longer works for the LAPD. I believe they said within a week or two of her trying to turn that evidence over, he no longer worked for LAPD. So why did he leave LAPD? You know, who collected what? It's just a lot of gaping holes in this case that don't make sense. Said exactly, I feel like that's been blown over. She said that Tory was taking Meg to get prescriptions for the injury. So how did she get this pre-existing injury? And I've heard that as well. They said that she hurt her foot a week prior. So if she did hurt her foot a week prior, let's say that if you're kicking and kicking and kicking something, right? Did you re-injure the same injury? Did you bust a pre-existing cut back open? Like, we got a lot of questions that are not being answered. And if there is proof that she had a prescription for a pre-existing injury, you know, antibiotics or lidocaine, whatever it could have possibly been, why didn't Tory's legal team make her turn over her medical records so that they could see if she already had a pre-existing injury? Because I've heard that multiple times. This is not the first time I've heard that. Said that front window was broken. That's where Meg was sitting. Said her stupid A kicked out and messed up her foot. Once again, tell what I said before. Where is the glass fragments? Were the glass fragments tested? Did they have 5% tint in them? Was there, metal traces in that 5% tint? Because some limo tint has metal fragments. Like, we need to know when that window was repaired, how that window was broken. Like, none of this was discussed in court. So who is Sean Kelly, y'all? I don't know who that is. Sean Kelly was a neighbor who lived on that block who ended up taking the stand as a defense witness, and then miraculously the prosecutors took him to the back and he became a prosecutor's witness. So the lady that called in said that she wanted to remain anonymous. Okay. Well, that means they still had a statement from her, so they should have had a redacted statement with her name redacted from the statement and still used it for testimony purposes unless the judge unsealed it and said that she needs to come into court. So it wasn't bullet fragments. They lied to say it was. It's appearing that way because they said that the fragments were lost. Nobody can tell us how they were lost. Usually in an investigation like that, they will check the logs and the cameras for evidence to see who came in that day. And they will go through the log to see what everybody came in to collect and what everybody came in to return, to figure out who all, collected evidence or visited the evidence room. They would have got to the bottom of that. So is it lost or is it non-existent? What actually happened? So if it wasn't bullet fragments, they lied to say it was, yeah. Metal fragments is what was in the reports. So You can get metal fragments in several different ways. That's why I said, were the metal fragments actually tested so that they could figure out what type of metal it was? Because they want us to believe that it was shrapnel. If it was shrapnel, then that means that shrapnel should have GSR. We should, it should not be an issue with knowing that, this was a shredded bullet. Also, if they're saying that, pretty much like the bullet hit the ground and ricocheted and she was hit with shrapnel across her ankle, which could possibly happen, where is the spot in the street where they had a marker for evidence to show where the impact was in the street from the bullet? Because that bullet is going to scrape the surface of the ground. It's the more they thought they answered, the more questions they left on the table. Said, shaking my head, exactly. The witness changed on Tory once he spoke to the DA. Absolutely. Came back minutes later. He looked, they said he looked very nervous, and the next thing you know, his testimony changed up. Said they should have been able to treat him like a hostile witness. Well, they definitely treated Kelsey like a hostile witness, but to me, this whole back and forth between the both of them, it was a hostile prosecutor and a hostile witness, and both of them was being petty, and this was a long, drawn-out exchange that really just did not have to happen. I mean, once Kelsey said that what she said in September was not a factual, they should have dismissed her right then and there and told her to get off the stand. What else can you say after you said everything I said was a lie? Said, that's the only transcript. I don't have EJ's. You see what I mean? EJ and Sean Kelly, their transcripts are very hard to get. Why are they hard to get if this is all public record? Said Lacey Brown Eyes, I believe I have it. Let me check. I know I've seen Sean Kelly's. If you have it, baby, I greatly appreciate it. You can send it to me to Angelkissestheoracle at gmail.com. Yeah, you said that's the only transcript you don't have is EJ's. See, that's what I'm talking about. They made it very, very hard to get EJ's transcript. Empress, if you still have Sean Kelly's, please send it to me. Because I want to go over everybody's and, do a fair analysis of everybody's transcripts. Because I've been psychically tapping into this for the last 4 years. And I can do all of that because that's my gift. But I always want to go back to what's in the black and white. And then I can go back later and read the gaps spiritually and fill it in. Empress P said, I have Sean Kelly's testimony and the statement he gave to the investigator. Please send it to me. When we're done with this live, I'm going to put my email address in the description. We cooking with hot grease, y'all. Come on now. We gonna get this together, because a lot of this information, when it started to get real twisted, that's when they started to kick out the court reporters from YouTube, because they did not want us to know everything that was being said in court. And I think that's crazy that they would remove the court reporters who are reporting to us what's actually happening. No other case will you see court reporters get kicked out for doing their job. Says Henny's walking around like Diddy, like shit all nice and sweet until the walls come crashing down. Well, I mean, hey, she had how many years to tell the truth? I feel like they need to come down at this point. Said, we need to know about the pre-existing injury, and I want you to know about this guardianship. How has a grown woman got a guardianship? That is a very solid question, and I also feel like Tory's legal team has the right to sequester that information, because if it's a pre-existing condition that would possibly make her violent that coincides with what happened between her and Kareem, then that makes it admissible in court. Said Milagro has all of the testimonies. I'm going to have to go back through some of Milagro's lives and take some notes. Said Auntie Diamonds was at the beginning of the year in January in 2020 before the brunch. Yeah. Said in the jail call, Kelsey said, well, Rock Nation already on this. See, that lets you know that they, like I told y'all, they were going to try to Olivia Pope this and switch it up. How in the world did Kelsey already know that Rock Nation was on it? Megan hadn't got out the hospital yet. Said, so Rock Nation was protecting their artists and cash cow by creating a false story and setting up Tory. Well, here's the thing. We know that T. Ferris is also an employee of Rock Nation, because once he brought her over there, they hired him in. Also, we know that T. Ferris was contacted twice that night, once in the house by EJ, the second time by Megan at the bus stop. Because remember, before they had this incident, Megan got out, had a whole meltdown at the bus stop. Tory got out and talked to her, told her to get back in the vehicle so that they can take her home. They got back in the vehicle, and then next thing you know, all hell broke loose. Said, I wonder what the industry folks are going to say out loud when it finally comes out that she lied. Oh, I feel like they're going to rip her to shreds, because people finally can say how they really want to feel. And you see how everybody's talking about Diddy right now. So 2024 is leaving no crumbs on the plate. Said, guardianship is only if you're not mentally stable. I agree. You have to either be not mentally stable, or you have to be physically impaired to the point to where you cannot get up and handle things for yourself. Either way, you need help with having some kind of deficiency with your capacity, for sure, physically or mentally. And you can't just get a guardianship. It has to be petitioned. You have to have, a healthcare representative, like a psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist. They have to be able to assess you, write up documentation about how they assessed you. Then that has to go before, another party, and then they come together, they meet, and they provide that information to the judge, and then the judge makes a final decision. So you don't just up and get a guardianship. It's steps to that. There had to be someone to do an evaluation to make sure that you honestly needed one. It's, guardianship similar to conservatorship. They have to deem you unfit physically or mentally or both for you to have one. Now, we know she's not physically incapable, so that would mean that there's a possibility that there is a mental issue that makes her unable to function without assistance. So, Angel, do you still want that original police report? Yes, baby, I sure do. I want all the evidence. Said, I had graduation all last week, so I forgot. I can email it to you. It's no big deal. We're going to do this until Tory comes home. Whenever you have a free moment, you can send it to me. I greatly appreciate you, and I thank you very much. Yeah, so the guardianship makes sense. Now, let's remember, this alleged guardianship, and I got to say alleged because they haven't pulled the paperwork out, but this guardianship was first mentioned in the conversation between Millie and Kelsey through text message in the beginning of their correspondence, okay? So, allegedly, this guardianship came into fruition due to the situation between her and Kareem. And I believe that this was a last-ditch attempt to save her from possibly having prison time by her mother, because, once again, where'd you get this pow pow from? Was it registered? And if not, and you pulled this on this person and you pulled it on him multiple times, according to what he said, you could have faced, a 5-year felony, at least one, but possibly one for each time that you threatened this man and pulled one on him. So, did they, petition the court to say, hey, my daughter is unstable, she has whatever have you issue, and did they offer your medical records to the court, and then the court had a court-appointed therapist that verified it, and then the judge okayed it? Because how in the world did they say, hey, we're going to allow you to have this guardianship? And let's remember, the case didn't continue because Kareem didn't show up to court to finalize pressing charges. Said it's funny that Henny said that she got the best pen in the game and no one moved. Nobody or no barbs even cared. Like it went through one ear and out the other. A new level of delusional. I mean, she's not bad at what she does. It's just repetitive. She gets to a point where she finds a scheme, and she takes that same scheme and flips that same scheme 5 or 6 different ways, but she's still saying the exact same thing over and over again. So, I mean, I wouldn't put her top 10 for that very reason, because her music doesn't have enough dexterity. It's the same over and over and over again. It lacks depth, but that's just my opinion. I mean, if you just want to twerk, then you good. So I can email you Sean Kelly's testimony and a few interviews he did. Thank you. I greatly appreciate you, because I definitely need to go over it. I need to read his testimony. I'm going to end up doing, I'm going to do a new series on this, because I want to tap in on the energy and see what I can pull from, if they're going to be able to get this to be a new trial. Because if this is, repackaged and the judge allows them to have a retrial, then all of these people have to come back to court, and they may have to sequester even more witnesses that were left out the first time. So y'all, I'd already said when I was doing the readings from last year, when I believe it's in the one where I talked about now that he's been sentenced, what's going to happen. I already said that if his team can get this reopened and they get Megan on the stand, they're going to obliterate her. And if you think this testimony with Kelsey is a mess, just imagine how it's going to be with Megan when they get her back on the stage. On the stand, rather. And they get past the, okay, we know you admit that you lied. Now let's see what you're telling the truth about. That lady that's on Tory's defense this time, she's not going to play no games with her. She ain't going to be able to do what she did to Gayle King and do that dry ass cry with no tears. It's not going to work this time. So MTS had a mental breakdown during the Sean Kelly call. What I can tell you that I actively heard in his call versus the other guy's call is there are people in the background clearly yelling, "Stop, Megan, stop, Megan, stop." And whatever they're doing when they're tussling, you hear men yelling, "Stop." So what was she doing for the men to tell her to stop? I didn't hear Kelsey stop. I didn't hear Kelsey screaming like, Tory, get off of her. Everybody was saying, Megan, stop. So that's where I was thinking that correlates with the original story that Sean Kelly had, that he thought that they were going to unalive her because everybody had piled up on her, and he said that they were all whooping her. So the way that I see that is she actually had the firearm and they were trying to disarm her and get it out of her possession. And that would line up with why they kept telling her to stop. Okay, says you're so right. I read up on it and only a few reasons why you could be given a guardianship. The only category she possibly could fall under is mentally ill, lack of capacity. And that's why she wouldn't be able to legally own or possess a handgun as well. Said if that's the story, that's nothing to lie about. Meanwhile, that man is in jail for nothing. Yeah, Jersey AZ. I mean, it's messed up. But they need to unravel all of this and get to the bottom of it so that they can really, they can show what really happened. They need to display the full scene as it really happened. No more of this, oh, we bumped into each other. I don't know what happened. How'd your nails fall off? No. Tory, at this point, no more Mr. Nice Guy. He's got to throw people under the bus to get the truth out. He tried to protect everybody else and ended up, in a trick bag himself. Said, yes, exactly. I believe they were all trying to disarm her. Henny let Camel convince her into setting Tory up. We're going to say allegedly, but I think they knew way far more what they pretended to know. And I feel like the way that Des handled it made that company a liability. So they have to send lawyers with her to clear things up for the company. It's not about protecting her. It's about protecting the company. Because the company could really go under if they find out that things may have been orchestrated. Said all of this to protect her. My heart honestly goes out to Tory. Baby, they ain't protecting her. They protecting the company's money. This is all about the church's money, not her. She just happens to be the catalyst. Said her telling her to pull her stuff in Tory's trunk was a power play. To her opening up her mouth on live was because people were making fun of her for getting hurt while drunk. So her ego made her do it. I believe so. Snooty Fox, I ain't seen you in a long time. Say good vibes from Long Beach. Every time I see that name, I'm tickled. Say Henny paid for a year's worth of rent, but they blame Tory for bribery. Well, here's the thing. Being that she brought her out there and that was your employee, she had to give her some kind of severance. Because if that girl ended up homeless, she couldn't go back to Texas because she already sublet her apartment and left all of her belongings behind. And I found that to be interesting. It seemed like Meg got everybody except for EJ to leave their home and come and stay with her and be 100% reliant on her. And then when they fall out with her, they got to find out where they're going to stay, and then they don't get paid. And it's a whole bunch of, rigmarole. And said, okay, hold on. Let's see, what is this? Said, okay, thank you for clearing that up. Snooty Fox said, all these people in entertainment are nasty, all of them. Snooty, I told him in the chat yesterday, y'all be surprised. Some of these people have horrible habits. They have horrible hygiene. It's not what you think. The celebrity life, the way a lot of these people live is not what you think. It's some, like I said before, it's some strange fruit. It's some weird happenings going on when you get off into that celebrity stuff. Said, oh, Angel, I remember being on Megan's Live with EJ, and she said she had brought up, oh, thank you. Somebody just sent me something. Said, I I remember Megan being on EJ's live, and she had brought up why don't they hang out with her anymore, and EJ said, "You're fake." Oh, well, if that ain't straight to the point. Hey, say hey, Miss Zoe. Yes, free Tory. Yolanda, hi, how are you? Said a Meg just keeps continuously rapping after trial about carrying, guns in her bag. Isn't that the same as EJ testifying about a gunshot victim shouldn't be rapping about, you know, guns? Well, here's the thing. EJ was the one that let us know that she had something in her carry-on that was reminiscent to a weapon. He called it something that looked like a taser. So all she's doing is reconfirming EJ's testimony that she keeps something in her bag at all times, whether it's a taser, whether it is a handgun. She's letting us know that she keeps something in her bag at all times, which means EJ was not lying. He was telling the truth about her being in possession of some type of weapon in her possession at all times. Said no, she said that the detective scared her because he was asking personal questions as if he would try to find and harm her. Oh wow. Interesting. Cancer season, hurry up. Oh, don't worry about it, baby. The rest of this year is gonna be a key. I promise you that. Said if or when a video drops, it will have a worse reaction than Diddy. Most people believe Cassie's story, but this will have people in their heads looking crazy. I totally agree, Amaya. I totally agree. Says definitely it doesn't look like a fresh wound either. It looks like it was a pre-existing wound that reopened. Come on now, KKH. That's why I initially tapped into this case and decided to do, readings and mediumship. For some of you who don't know, like outside of music, I worked in the medical field. So the way that her wound was described, the paperwork that she showed on the screen, where it says irrigation and extraction, I knew that was not the way that you handle GSWs. You don't pour water in a GSW wound, especially without giving a patient something like Keyflex. When I saw that the way that the wound had been stitched, sutured, it did not look like a GSW wound. It looked like a jagged cut. A lot of people don't know that bullets are hot, so when a bullet goes through, that's how you get that keloid, because it burns its way through. So we don't, still to this day, you don't see any burns or anything like that. Even if it missed tendons, even if it missed nerves, which is very hard to do in the foot because the foot is the most intricate part of your body when it comes to nerve endings, you still would have had issues with being able to, squat down and twerk, because all the nerve endings and the tendons would have been pulled, which would have been extremely painful. And it would have took a while for her to be able to successfully do that. So I'm going to go with pre-existing reopened as well. That makes more sense. And that would explain why they were saying that Tory had taken her to go pick up medication before for a possible alleged wound. I believe she may have re-injured or busted open a pre-existing wound, which is super messed up. Said, remember, like I said it yesterday, Megan face dropped like she had no knowledge of how toxic she is. Said his team barely had the time to prepare for this case. His lawyer quit right before the trial. I didn't think that was fair. Sean Holly is an interesting case because she's one of those, You know, she's one of those lawyers that you have to question her intentions, because she tends to go to court with people and not really push the envelope to win. I I've seen a pattern with her, and I feel like her job was to get him to court and to make sure that certain people were not called to the stand, because she also was supposed to be a Kardashian lawyer, and that may have been her job, just to make sure that the Kardashians stayed out of court, and whatever happened at that house, or the nature of the party at that house, stayed out of that courtroom. And once she solidified that, she dipped. That's just my theory, though, so I'm gonna say allegedly. And as y'all can see, Sean Holly ended up over there with Puffy, right? And look at him now. So if you ever need to hire somebody, I would suggest you don't call her. Said his team, yeah, okay, I read that. Said I listened to like and enough. Oh, okay, so like that and enough. And who those were warning shots. Jesus, this is about to get uglier. So this is about to get uglier than Kim Barbie, laughing my ass off. I told y'all to read the lyrics to both of those songs. See, don't get caught up in the fan stuff when it comes to that, because if you pay attention to what Cardi was saying, Cardi was telling you a story. She was wrapping it up with a bow. She put an address and she put a stamp on it. She mailed it directly. Now, some people, they don't take Cardi serious, so they didn't pay it any attention. Or sometimes it gets a little hard to understand her through her accent, depending on how busy the production is. But when I went to Apple Music and I started reading through the lyrics and going along with it, it's like, oh, this is a mess. This sure is. She's live and direct with this one. Said the car has disappeared too, following following it being in the impound. See how much stuff keep disappearing in this case? Why is everything disappearing? Said Little Juju on the beat said that fragments were tested against the gun when the fragments were lost. I believe he is repeating everything that he was told, and because he likes her, he was emotional. But here's the thing. If they were tested, where is the test? They lost the fragments, not the test. So let's see the test. Because those tests are supposed to be in the computer. Those computers are backed up. Stuff goes in the clouds. Where are the tests? See, Lil Ju need to just be quiet and make them beats, because he's saying whatever he's heard. He's regurgitating whatever she told him, and she making a fool out of him. And then next thing you know, nobody's able to find the stuff that she talking about, but, he windmilling for her. Losing fragments don't mean you lost paperwork. Yes, and it's the worst miscarriage of justice that this generation has seen. It's definitely one of them for sure. Said when you get when you get your nails done, pretty, I keep them done. Said another body she has, don't believe nothing he says. Thank you, Empress Fee. I greatly appreciate you. Said they didn't subpoena the doctor who said, was it Dr. Lafredo? Who said that he treated her left foot, and Dr. Little for fragments, and also that's eyewitness. The eyewitness who heard the voice yelling, "You crazy, what are you doing?" Well, see, I'm glad that you mentioned the doctors, because yes, the original doctor, who was the lead doctor of the ER, meaning he is the boss over all the doctors in the ER. This is the one that the police talked to. This is the one who said that there was glass fragments and she was cut. The next doctor is a resident they didn't get the lead doctor, they got the resident to come to court, and even the resident had to say some of the stuff that she said was not true. When they said, oh, she had to go to therapy, she had to relearn how to walk, they said that man looked like he was lost like a deer in headlights. Like, who? No. I didn't assign her to go to therapy. So he sat there and said he did surgery on her. But once again, where is the surgical record of her having surgery? Because we should have the doctors who performed the surgery. We should have the nurses that were on duty. Was the doctor on call? Was there already there on staff? Who was the anesthesiologist? At what time did the surgical procedure start? At what time did it end? Where is the billing record of the surgery? These are all things that are not hard to produce. Yes, if that was close range, that itch would have tore her foot up. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, even if it was shrapnel at close range, it would have not only, let's say it was the fragments from shrapnel that disintegrated and hit her foot. It would have burned. She would have had scars. It would have been scar tissue up her foot, up her ankle. To this day, she would still have scars. Now, most people don't know melanated skin keloids easier, so it would have been way easier to see where the shrapnel went because she still would have had scars. And then eventually, as you shed skin cells, as the years go by, that, bullets or shrapnel, it shifts, it moves, and eventually whatever they didn't get out will come to the surface, and they could possibly remove it later, or if it's not safe, they'll leave it there because it's safer to not move it. Said Henny had 4 years of 4 years to tell the truth. She deserves everything that's coming to her. As messed up as it is, I can't wait for her downfall. I mean, downfall or not, I just want the truth to come out because that man should not be losing, his family, his life, his livelihood. That's a lot to have to, sit there and not be able to participate and not be an active member of your own family and not be able to hold your wife, not be able to, see your son and go to, if he's got recitals and games or just, everyday things that you take for granted outside of the money, outside of the work. That's just not fair. She's not missing out on anything. She's living her best life no matter how tipsy it is. He deserves the same, chance to live his life the way that he wants to live his life. Said, could her alcoholism be a reason for guardianship? I think it's a little deeper than that. Only way alcoholism usually goes to guardianship is if you are so far out of control that it's doing like Wendy Williams, where it's causing like aphasia, like, dementia and Alzheimer's, things like that. Because if it was that, they could have also petitioned the court to put her in a treatment facility. That would have made it court ordered. So I believe that it's a pre-existing condition outside of that. Kat said, when do you think the real story and evidence starts to drop about what happened that night? Things are going to start turning around in June. It's going to start turning around in June, and then between June to fall, we're going to start getting to the meat of potatoes of things. I see him coming home between the end of the year, early next year. Somewhere close to Christmas. Says, definitely Tory has such a big heart and he really did love her. but he has given her enough grace, and now I hope that he wipes the floor with her. KKH, baby, he ain't got no choice. He wants to come home as no more Mr. Nice Guy. Now he has to do what he has to do to protect himself because his family needs him. You got, your son out here, you got your wife. You're missing out on too much in life, and that's not fair to them as well. His son doesn't deserve to be fatherless because you decided to, have a moment and be out here spinning around in circles drunk in a thong in the middle of the street. That's not fair. And the people that are around her need to be held accountable. Because what the story is that her mother initially had guardianship. Her mother got sick, and she handed over guardianship to T. Ferris. So if T. Ferris is still in guardianship over her personal life, then he needs to be held accountable because as her guardian, he is responsible for her and, her safety and the well-being of those around her if she has an episode. If she's having an episode, he's supposed to report that and get her the help that she needs. So that shows that he's delinquent. Said they asked Megan on the stand if those were her bags in Tory's truck, and she lied and said she didn't know. She has a lot of bags. That was her and Kelsey's bag. She took all of their belongings out of EJ's vehicle and put them into Tory's vehicle, and EJ said that in his testimony on the stand. They asked EJ where were the bags. He said that she had opened the back hatch and they were in the very back of the truck. So, yeah. Said Megan really might be on the autism spectrum because her behavior and mental behavior is off. Her social cues are terrible too. I believe it's deeper than that. I can't diagnose her because I'm not a mental health professional, but spiritually it's deeper than that from what I can see. Hey, it's Trisha. So did he know she was with Cop Nation? They met at the Rock Nation brunch, sweetie. That's how they met each other. Yeah, would you say Sean Holly is a chaos agent? Sorry about that. So Sean Holly is a chaos agent. Sean Holly been riding the coattails of the OJ case. Listen, she keeps popping up in some very weird places if you follow Sean Holly. So yeah, Sean Holly is Diddy's lawyer too. Same pattern. Her job is to make sure certain people stay out. That's what it looks like to me, allegedly. Said exactly. I'm sure something really happened at Kylie's house, like Tory said. She was hot stepping to the car. Whatever happened, Tory didn't have a chance to get dressed. He had to just gather up whatever he could and go right out the front door. We don't even know if Tory got his clothes. We just know that they hurried up and rushed out the house, because that's why when they got pulled over and he was laid out in the street, he literally was in his boxers. He never got a chance to get dressed. Said that's exactly why I feel like Tory was okay, I won't say that word for YouTube. Without his consent at Kylie's party, the Kardashians are under fire now for, allegedly, we'll say that they allegedly were putting things in people's beverages. Men without their knowledge. I didn't know that, sweetheart. If you can, send me a link to where you found that. I know that they popped up in some information from Diddy's house, and they may have been in some of that footage. I haven't heard that one yet. But there was definitely people there that were inebriated, and it's very interesting that Corey Gamble, hangs out very closely with the camel. And then here it is, all of this happens, and they don't come to court, they don't testify, and nobody has anything to say, like they don't remember what happened at that house. The only person that has a lucid memory that told us on the stand what happened at that house was EJ, but EJ left before everything else popped off. But he knew, due to the way that Meg was behaving, that something was going to happen. He was trying to remove her from the premises before it got worse. Said, I remember how Tory kept saying on the jail call how he was so effed up. Yeah, absolutely. Says Henny's going to be at Message tomorrow. Could be interesting to see if she brings LaCardi out. She ain't bringing Cardi out, baby. They don't get along. They've been beefing. Said they gave him a few drinks right off the bat. Well, according to what EJ said, he said from when he was there, because he left, I want to say, when Tory arrived. He was trying to get them out of there due to how she was behaving. And he said that between 1:30 when they got there, 1:30 in the afternoon to 4:30 in the afternoon, 8 people polished off 5 full bottles of liquor. And who knows, they could have been, they could have been fifths, they could have been liters. Either way, that is a lot for 8 people to drink on an empty stomach. Because remember, they didn't eat. They said that Megan was supposed to be making tacos. She was supposed to be cooking the ground beef. She started cooking, and then she got mad that everybody was having a good time, talking about y'all having fun without me. And they were telling her, like, well, you can engage with us too. And she ended up never going back in the kitchen to finish cooking, so nobody ate. Says she had the nerve damage. The resident said there's no nerve damage. Right. Very important. The resident said there was absolutely no nerve damage. He said there was no physical therapy, and there was no reason that she could not walk. Right. Surgery on a Sunday, not emergency. It's not even that you can't have surgery on a Sunday. It is for them to do surgery on a Sunday, especially for something as sensitive as the foot. The doctor would have to be on call. They would have to prep you, get you together, and they would have to call a specialist in. But they would definitely stabilize you until that doctor who specializes in podiatry, that type of surgery, can get in. Cedars-Sinai should have had internal investigation not only regarding the change in the injury by the 2 doctors, but on why the medical team didn't report the GS injury to the law enforcement. You are absolutely correct, KKH. Anything that has to do with GSW and GSR automatically has to be reported to law enforcement. And we do know that law enforcement came back to the hospital to speak with the lead doctor of the ER. And the final result with that was that it was a cut and it was a glass injury. So for all of y'all that haven't seen it, please go to my community page, so you can see where I had posted where Cedars-Sinai had lost a major lawsuit for falsifying medical information, charging people for services that were not rendered, and that just happened last year. So is she 20-something? Why does she need guardianship? Actually, I believe Megan just turned 30, and the guardianship started, I want to say, around the time she had just got to, it's between high school and college. Because she was dating Kareem when she was in college. So that's a good question. We need to know exactly when did it start. Did she already have a guardianship before she got to college? And why exactly does she have one? And why didn't the defense bring up the fact that Megan has a history for DV and she had actually been arrested for that? Said not being funny at all, but why do people call her transgender? To be honest, I think it's partially because of some of those costumes that she wears. They're ill-fitted, so it makes certain stuff look a certain way, if that makes sense. So, was Kylie's party giving white toes function? Good question. And that's why I was saying they were trying to keep the information about what type of party this was. Was it just a kickback? Because when we were reading the rest of Kelsey's transcript, she kept saying it was not a party. It was not a party. It was not a party. So if you remember it was not a party, like it wasn't like a house party, then what type of, gathering was this? Said the weeks before his initial trial, said the weeks before his trial, wait a minute, screen moved, there we go. The week before the trial email, Sean sent Tory that Kelsey wasn't a valid strategy. So who does that leave with the pow-powing of that firearm in the air 3 times? Greetings from Russia. Hey, sweetie, how are you? Thanks for tapping in. Said Naisha, besides Jack speaking about it, a couple has been talking about it. Well, if you guys go to Hollywood Unlocked, there was an interview with Whack 100. And for those of you that have been following me for a while, you know exactly what I'm about to say. Whack 100 confirmed publicly that there was a video. And I had a lot of traction that came over to my readings because people came and said, you said it was a video, and now Whack 100 is saying it. So Whack 100 just did this interview with Jason Lee over at Hollywood Unlocked. And he stated that Meg was a liar. And he said that there is a video. They're waiting for them to be able to unleash it in court. If they won't let them show it in court, then they're going to drop it on the internet. Either way, it's going to come out and it will be seen. Only thing that I didn't like that he said was that Tory antagonized her. I feel like that was the wrong language because it was a while before Tory said anything, and he had a gag order, so it was a lot that he could not say. If anything, Tory was asking about, oh, somebody sent me something. Thank you. Thank you. Say hey, Miss Zoe. I see you sent me something. Yeah, if anything, he was pleading for her to be honest about what happened, and he was pleading for Des to kind of like take her foot off his neck. I don't remember at any given time where he was antagonizing her. If anything, she kept going into the public, going after him, talking about him and his team and his PR company were, coming after her. And it was so aggressive to where I was confused because I'm like, well, let me make sure. Like, let me go and, go through the algorithm. Let me go look this up and see if he is saying anything to her. And I could never find anything where Tory had said anything. And then eventually he did speak, and he did that live on Instagram. And then the rest he saved for the music, and he kind of painted a picture of the way things happen. And he admitted that he had been with both the friends, and that's what caused the tension. So I didn't agree with him saying antagonizing, but everything else he said I agreed with. Said couple of channels said that he might have been on the scene of the pow-powing. He was wearing a white suit. When it comes to an unaliving scene, to clean allegedly. Oh, Oh. They said on the stand that when Tory got to Kylie's house that he was handed a couple of drinks at the door and Kylie welcomed him with Megan saying welcome to the wow. We'll say welcome to the kitten palace because y'all they every week I gotta figure out what I can say on here. Yeah, sounds like a freak off. That sounds like a freak off to me too. Say hey Miss Zoe. And see, interesting enough that you said that because the last time that I was reading from the transcripts, she talked about how they had multiple changes of swimsuits. And I'm thinking to myself, like, if this is just a kickback, why the hell you got so many changes of swimsuits? Don't nobody need to see your ass out in 6 different ways at the same party. One swimsuit should be enough for one kickback for a pool party. I don't know why you would have to keep changing outfits for a pool party. That was peculiar to me because it's not like you're taking pictures for, a swimsuit line or something like that. So why do you have all these bags and all these changes of clothes, all these changes of almost like how a dancer would come with changes of dance wear. Like, why are you with all these changes in outfits and swimwear if it's just a kickback? It's kind of, peculiar. But that makes me think that's the reason why they did not want them in the courtroom because they did not want to describe the nature of this party. Remember, Tory was not initially supposed to be there. He was invited at the last second. So he had no idea what they were doing before he got there. He just knew that he got a call and he was invited. Now we need to know what he was told when he was invited because according to EJ stated that Kylie told Megan to call him and invite him because she wanted to do business with him. This is what EJ says. I'm going to lean towards believing EJ because EJ was sober. EJ's testimony was the most consistent out of everybody that's sat on that stand. He didn't waver. He didn't switch up. He stayed direct with his entire testimony. So if she called him over there under the guise that she wanted to work with him, whatever they were doing, I'm going to stand on he was not privy to what was happening before he got there. You said, didn't they say Diddy's son was there, Christian? I don't know if he was there, but I do know he was at Pop Smoke's party the night that he passed away. So if he was there, he sure shows up in some odd places. Said, does give freak off. We should go back and see if the toes were white. Yeah, it feels very, very intriguing. Like, what the heck was going on? Says, but it is that a real reason to say something like that about someone for no reason. Said, have we ever had a tap in on that? I didn't do a tap in on that. I more so did a tap in on what happened when they left. I did do a reading about what happened at Kylie's house. I want to say, yeah, I did that last year, but I focused on the energy that was around, why she was angry and why they left. So it looks like I may need to do a tap in to see what the nature of the actual party was because it's very, very unclear. It's a gray area. If it was a kickback, if this was a freak off, we don't know. I thought it was very strange that they kept talking about all the different changes of swimsuits and all the bags. It's like I've never went to a pool party and took a whole entire, traveling case of clothes, and it's just a lot. I could see maybe having an extra swimsuit and then having clothes to wear after it's over or cover up, when it's time for you to leave. You want to take a shower and freshen up and change clothes, but I can't see just going to a regular kickback with a bag full of stuff. Like, for what? Were you spending the night? what was the purpose? What was going to happen that the both of y'all needed all of that stuff? Said you have to be seriously unwell to make up lies that she has. She really needs psychological help. Thank you. You answered that for me. Said no, we haven't done that tap in. Yeah, I haven't did that tap in. I more so did the tap in around what got her thrown out the house and what happened after they left. Okay, salute from the UK. Hey, Cardboard. Thank you for coming in. Tory bringing them all out. Said, and why silence and threatening Kelsey if they wanted the public to believe he assaulted her too? Right. Because there's a big elephant in the room with this whole entire situation, and I've been telling y'all that Meg almost brought the house down. There's something that was going on where Meg was going to take everybody under, and this is more so why everybody needed to band together to keep Tory from having justice, because Tory getting justice shines a light on a whole bunch of other stuff. Unfortunately, he thought he was just going to a kickback to kick it with somebody about, doing business. That's the energy that I got. I never got any energy that he was coming to do something extra. Said, I feel there were more famous people there. Also, they got threatened, and that's why they can't speak. Oh, it was definitely more famous people there. EJ said that the three people who didn't drink was him, Odell Beckham, and a white football player that he had brought with him. So, who was that football player? And why didn't we hear from Odell Beckham? Now, you see, Odell Beckham has stayed around the family. Him and Kim, had whatever they had going on, and then he finally turned her loose. So we need to start, figuring out who all was there, what was the guest list, what made everybody leave, and what was the actual purpose for this so-called kickback that everybody keeps saying was not a party. I can do a reading on that party. I'm not gonna stay on here as long as I did yesterday, because I was supposed to do some readings yesterday to upload, and y'all, I got off of here and ended up in the damn bed. But I had to get up because I had some personal readings to do, this morning and this afternoon. But I definitely I'll add that to my list of readings for this week, because there's a lot that needs to meet the eye with this situation, and there's a lot that's going to have to be told to bring Tory home. And at this point, Tory owes nobody nothing, because everybody left him, to dry up and wither away like he was out in the desert sun. So he's done all the protecting of everybody that he could do. He went far above and beyond what he could do. Now it's time for Tory to set the record straight and save himself. And whoever goes down, goes down. Said, I found it strange that she made that call at the bus stop, but claimed he had her phone. Oh yeah, claimed her phone died and then kept waiting to get out of the vehicle. Well, see, that's something that wouldn't even be hard to confirm. They could have already, got the information subpoenaed from the phone company so that they can have her phone records to see what her texts were and her correspondence were on the day of that event, to see what all she was texting back and forth, to see if she texted T. Ferris, if she called T. Ferris, what the correspondence was. That should have already been entered into court as evidence. Because why were you calling T. Ferris? Were you calling him to come get you from the bus stop? Were you telling him what happened? There's so many things here that we need to know about. We know that EJ called T. Ferris. We know the reason why EJ called T. Ferris is because he believed that Megan was becoming belligerent and he was afraid that it was going to affect her career, and he wanted to get her out of there because he felt like she was going to go too far. Now, he did what any good friend would do, not even just employee. He did what a good friend would do, which was pack her things up, get her out there, get her out of there swiftly and professionally. Come on, let's go. We need to leave now. She was stubborn. She refused to listen. Instead of going with him, she unpacked his vehicle and put everything in Tory's vehicle. So the young lady that said that she believed that was a power move, I believe so, because once her stuff was in Tory's vehicle, it forced his hand and it gave her, a leg up on the situation, on controlling, how long he was going to be there. Because if her stuff was in his vehicle, then that means whatever he left, she was leaving with him. So he couldn't just up and stay without, her staying too. So she was forcing his hand either way it went. It's petty, but said, and Desiree did everything to have Tory convicted. Well, I mean, she's a representative of Cop Nation, so that falls back on the owner of Cop Nation because she works for him. Now y'all see why they couldn't let him come up out of there, because this could have turned into civil suits for everybody, and they just did not want that smoke. EJ was still in work mode. In his testimony, he grabbed Henny's stuff because he was, this was his employer, so maybe part of it was being in work mood. The other part is, he saw her as like, almost like family. He saw her as a friend. So he didn't want his friend to crash out, because if she crashed out, then yes, this affected him having a job and he didn't want to lose his job. But EJ was not only styling her exclusively. She wanted him to be her exclusive stylist, but it wasn't paying enough. So he still had other work. So if he lost work with her, he wasn't going to stop working. I think it was more so he felt sorry for the situation and he didn't want her to throw her career away. And he was trying his best to alleviate a bad situation. But if somebody ain't going to listen, they won't, do right, then you got to save your own career and get up out of there. And that's what he did. I don't blame him for that. Said the AG has to respond next Tuesday. Do you think we will hear his response that same day? I believe so, because they have been very good at uploading their decisions in print form, and then people go right over to the internet and download whatever comes out. So if it doesn't come out on Tuesday, it's definitely going to be out before the week's end. But they haven't, since they've changed it to a higher court, they've been very transparent about the information. So that's a good thing. Says swimsuits because they left shoot. No, they came straight from the house, sweetie. When they came to Kylie's house, they came straight from the Airbnb that Megan was renting. They didn't come from a swimsuit shoot. They came for a kickback. And when they got there, Kylie provided them a suite, and they were able to stay in that suite. And they said that it was like a really nice big like master suite. The room was like the size of a palatial apartment. Had his own like balcony, like deck and everything. Said, no, Angel, we were talking about the tapping in with the trans rumors. Said, and the FO at Kylie's house. Say they're both good, I agree. Sounds like a setup. Yeah, it definitely sounds like a setup. Let's see, I'm seeing PR relationship. Said, where is Cardi at? Cardi wasn't there. She had nothing to do with it. The only reason why Cardi would even be brought up is because the only reason why these two crossed paths is that they met while shooting the WAP video. Outside of that, that's it. Said definitely sounds like a setup and very interesting. The baby met B&J. Y'all are funny. Met B&J January 2020 per the recent clip going around. Well, according to how they described it, the baby was with her one day, Tory was with her the next day, and then Blueface went on Hollywood Unlocked and said that he had hooked up with her the same day that she had got out of emergency from being treated for her foot. So I thought that was very interesting that Jason Lee, double back with Whack 100, because I think that Jason Lee was so caught up in the salaciousness of her possibly giving him FaceTime that it went over his head that he said that he was with her the day that she got out of the hospital, which means Blueface could confirm or deny the condition of her feet and if she could or couldn't walk. And then next thing you know, he turns around and he has Whack 100, and Whack 100 confirms that there's a video and that she lied. So I think Jason Lee is setting himself up for a very big exclusive when this is all said and done. And he could say that he was one of the first to uncover it, which is smart. Said it's possible, but normally the next day. Said it didn't go that way. They expected it, but it seems like it played right out in the hands, which is why the lie went so far. It was all a plot. Said, don't forget the Gayle King reading. Baby, I'm not forgetting Gayle King in her wig. I was tired because I didn't expect to go live yesterday. Thanks to the Diddler's shenanigans, I was doing content for yesterday and, ended up on here for a few hours. So I was just tired. I have not forgot. Said, I think the baby and Tory both should have stayed out of LA that year. I don't think they should have stayed out of LA. I think they should have stayed away from the same woman. Because they were fine until they crossed her path. Said exactly, that's the first thing YNW lawyer did, got those phone records. Right. And they could still get those phone records. It just seemed messy to me that nobody got in the first place. It didn't feel like there was a real defense. Like that defense could have been put together better by a high school debate team. Said, I believe a lot to be true about her. I didn't know that this one. Hey, Ivory. Baby, I did not put out an announcement for the live today. I had told everybody in the last couple of lives that I would be going live today for Tory. Every 2 weeks on Monday, we do all things Tory. And we're going to continue to do all things Tory until Tory's home. Said those bags were being moved to his vehicle was a violation to his rights on ownership of the weapon and all participants being tested. Right, because he had no idea what was in anybody's bag. Nobody was supposed to even be in his vehicle in the first place. If they had left with EJ, nothing would have been in his vehicle and he couldn't have been held accountable. He didn't know what they had in those bags. Yeah, he said it didn't look like she had been, shot. I'm telling you, as somebody who has worked in the medical industry, that the way that was sutured, the way it was taken care of, it did not look like GSR. It didn't, GSW, excuse me. It didn't look like a GSW. Is it possible that Rock Nation could have gotten Blueface locked up for violating his probation or whatever to silence Blueface from speaking on Megan's timeline? I don't think so. He acted such a fool, he was going to go in there anyway. But I do think that if it would be smart on his behalf, if he wants to strike a deal to possibly, knock some time off, he should make friends with Tory's defense and see what they can do for him. Because it's not like he's saying that he's a witness to what happened. All he's saying is he's a witness to the injuries because he spent time with her the next day. And if she's able to get down, drop down and get her eagle on, then how is she able to do that with the severity of the injury that she's trying to tell people she had? Let's see. So I think Tiana's Airbnb was the next Airbnb post-accident. And interesting that you're saying that, because I heard that she has a lawsuit pending with her for Tiana Taylor, because there was allegedly damage to that Airbnb. So let me pick up where I left off, because I'm going to get off of here in a little bit. I need to get some rest. Tomorrow I got a lot of content to knock out, and I also got some personal readings. Let's see, where did we leave off? Okay, so we're back to her badgering her about her memory and what she should remember. Tory's lawyer says objection, argumentative. Court says overruled. You can answer. The witness says, I can barely remember the date that it took place on, ma'am. Ms. Tile, which is the prosecutor, question. Well, you remember a lot of the heat that you got after the shooting, correct, from the public? Which this is an unfair question, because you're asking her, you remember being harassed and bullied online. That's pretty much what that's saying. That had nothing to do with what happened at night. So that question should have been struck. Answer, I also do take social media breaks. Question, all right, but in the 2 years that you've been consistently reminded about your involvement or you being present during the shooting, is that correct? Yes. Question, and you're telling us that between September and now you've forgotten a lot of the details. Is that what you're telling us? A, between September and now I have experienced a lot, and so I cannot remember just specifically this situation, but a lot of things. Question, did the defendant or anyone from the defense team attempt to contact you after September of this year? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Question, now when you were in the car, did you see a text message to anyone? Now I find this interesting. She kept saying when you were in the car. They weren't in a car. They were in an SUV. But it says, answer, yes, ma'am. Question, who was that to? Answer, Megan's security. Question, is that Justin? Answer, yes, ma'am. Question, what did you text him? Answer, oh, I can't remember verbatim. Question, I'm showing you what's been marked as People's 32. You can take a look at that, please, Kelsey. There, appears that at the very bottom of the text message you sent. So pay attention to this, y'all, because they got text messages, but they didn't show all the text messages. They're asking her what she texted Megan's security, but they're not showing the text messages or any correspondence between Megan and T. Ferris. Now, if Megan was in danger, she was definitely in trouble, according to the prosecution. Why is the prosecution not asking or presenting the phone calls and the texts back and forth between them and T. Ferris? Why didn't they bring T. Ferris on the stand to tell us what was being said to him in the phone calls about her safety and what was going on that night? Mind you, prosecution avoided that on purpose. Said, I'm sorry, you're showing somebody's address. So y'all hear that? The prosecution doxed somebody while she was reading the paperwork. She was only supposed to be looking at text messages that she sent to Justin, and they doxed, I want to say Justin, and showed her Justin's address when she was only supposed to be seeing text messages. I'm going to read that again just so that y'all can catch it. She said, I'm showing you what's been marked People's 32. Can you take a look at that? Please, Kelsey, there appears to be at the very bottom a text message sent. Answer, I'm sorry you're showing someone's address. How in the hell did she end up showing Kelsey somebody's address? Question, go ahead and move it up. Thank you. Why wasn't that address redacted? You literally doxed somebody. You don't know how good her memory is to remember that address that's on that paper. That could put somebody in danger. That's a very, very, very big rookie move for a prosecutor to dox somebody in court. So she's telling her, go ahead, move it up. Thank you. I'm scrolling at the very bottom. There's a date, Sunday, July 12th at 4:27 a.m. Help, Tory, Pow, Megan, 911. Did you send that text to Justin Edison? Answer, yes. Question, at that date and time, that's the time that it states, so yes. Why did you send that text message to Justin? Answer, again, everything is going fast. I was panicking, so. Question, why did you say to Justin, Tory shot Meg? Answer, assumption. Question, did you tell us in September that you text Justin, Tory shot Meg because that's what happened? Answer, when you showed me the screen, I said yes. Question, and is that what happened? Answer, I honestly didn't see it. So now she's saying she did not see him actually, assault her with a weapon. Question, but you told us in September, when your memory was much better than it is today, apparently, that you text Justin, help, Tory shot Meg, and that was after you saw Tory shoot Meg. Is that right? Answer, I'm sorry, you can ask me again, please. Question, all right, you told us back in September when your memory was apparently better than it is today that you text Justin, Tory shot Meg, 911 because you saw Tory shot Meg. She's forming this as a question. I don't remember telling you that. I believe you showed me this and I said, well, yeah. Question, did you tell us in September that while you were in the car, you told everyone we need to take her to the hospital and Meg tells you to call Ferris? Now, y'all hear that? She's saying that Kelsey said that we need to take her to the hospital and Meg told her to call T. Ferris. So that would mean this is the third time this evening going into the morning, that T. Ferris is being contacted, which means he should have been brought in on the stand. Answer, again, everything was kind of fast. I don't know what was all said. Question, did you tell us that you tried to call Ferris, but there was a bad signal, and that's when you sent the text to Justin Edison, help, 911, Tory shot Meg? Did you tell us that? Answer, yes. Question, did you tell us that you also tried texting Ferris, the manager, by dropping him a tag with your location? So that means they got iPhones if she dropped him a tag with the location. Answer, yes. Question, did you tell us that you also sent a message to your mom through Messenger saying help? Answer, yes, I think is what I said. Question, did that happen? Answer, yes. Question, Did you tell us that you were frustrated because you were also hurt physically and mentally because you had bruises on you from when Tory assaulted you? Did you tell us that? Answer: I don't remember my words verbatim. Question: well, you got bruises that night, didn't you? Answer: I'm sorry, say that again. Y'all, they getting on my nerves. I could not have sat through this comfortably in court. This was ridiculous. Question: were you injured that night, weren't you? Answer: yes. Question: how did you get your injuries, Kelsey? Answer: I noticed these injuries the next day, so honestly, again, I don't know. Question: showing you what I'm going to mark as People's 33 collectively will make that 33A, B, and C, and D. 4 separate photographs. And I hate that they did not put them in here. The court: 33A through D, so marked. That's from the judge. Ms. Tao, thank you. The court: we don't have 32, so Mr. Bott, which is the other prosecutor, that was the next text. This is 32. The court, which is the judge, I don't think you marked that yet. Mr. Bott, we marked it. I think Ms. Tao said we're marking it as People's 32. Ms. Tao, I can go ahead and make another record. The court: People's 32, so marked. Text message 33A through D, so marked. Pay attention to this, guys. The judge just said that they didn't properly have it marked, which means they did not issue it into evidence a particular way. He allowed them to change the way that it was classified right then and there in the court. That's going to be important. Ms. Tao, showing it to the council, if we could just have a moment. The court: all right, Ms. Tao. Question: showing you what's been marked as 33A. Do you recognize that, Kelsey? Answer: yes, ma'am. Question: what is that? Answer: a bruise. Question: how did you get that bruise? Answer: I honestly didn't notice this bruise until the next day, so I don't know. Question: did you get this? Did you have this bruise before the night of the shooting? Answer: we were very intoxicated. I noticed this bruise the next day. Y'all, she has answered this question, the same question, at least 4 times the exact same way. And you see how the prosecutor keeps changing this question and she keeps telling her, I didn't know I was bruised up until the next day. Said, showing you 33B. Do you recognize this? Question. Let's see. Answer: yes. Question: how do you recognize it? Answer: I'm sorry. Question: how do you recognize it? Answer: I'm sorry, what do you mean? I recognize it by looking at it. Question: okay, what is it? Answer: there's kind of a glare, but it looks like a bruise. Question: is that your leg on the top photo? Answer: yes, ma'am. Question: and it looks like there's a middle picture right here. Do you see that? Answer: I'm sorry, say it again. Question: there's a middle picture right there. It looks like the top of someone's head. Answer: yes. What picture is that? Answer: that's the top of my head. Question: and showing you 33-C. Do you recognize that photo? Answer: that's the arm. I can't really see the screen. It's dark. It looks dark on here. Question: you had a bruise on that arm, correct? Answer: yes. Did you take these photographs? Answer: yes. Question: why did you take these photographs? Answer: because I noticed these things on me. Question: and you don't know what caused it, but you took the photographs of your injuries. Answer: because I noticed them, I took the picture. Yes. Question: Why would you take pictures just because you noticed some injuries on there? Question, I'm sorry, say that again. Question, well, let me put it this way. You have kind of gotten hurt or kind of gotten bruised from drinking before. Answer, yes. Now, y'all pay attention to that. She's asking her, has she been hurt or has she gotten bruised before while drinking? Which means you may have a habit of becoming inebriated to the point to where you may fall down and hurt yourself, or you may get so inebriated that you don't remember how you get injured, which means there may be a pattern of this behavior. Said Kelsey played the entire time. What's this one up here? Said as soon as the baby and Tory did that song together, she was responding to every tweet about them. Yeah. Said I can't tell you if I did or if I didn't. Question, why would you take pictures of having injuries after just a drunken night? Answer, because they weren't on me prior to. Question, to the shooting? Answer, no, prior to, I wouldn't say like the day, there you go. Y'all, this is just two smart mouth people going back and forth. You told us in September of this year that you had bruises specifically from Tory assaulting you. Is that right? Yes, I told you that in September, but question. And you told us that in September that he was also pulling your hair during the assault, correct? Answer, yes, I told you that in September. Question, in the middle picture, I'm showing you 33B. Why did you photograph a picture of the top of your head? Because it looks like I was missing some hair, but I've had some bald spots here, right there. Question, why did you take a picture of the bald spot or the fact that you're missing some hair? Answer, because I had noticed it. I didn't know. Question, would you normally take a picture of your hair if something is missing? Yes, because I'm known to get ponytails which cause bald spots. I don't know what the hell type of ponytail she getting cause bald spots. That mean they putting them in too tight, but okay. Question, did you tell us that while you guys were driving, you also tried to call a person that you've been talking to at the time? So this right here is showing why Kelsey wasn't feeling some type of way about Tory allegedly flirting with Kylie, because she had decided to talk to somebody else. So if he was talking to somebody else at this time, it's like you dating people, I'm dating people, okay, whatever, right? Yeah, too tight ponytail, Kelsey. Yeah, that ponytail got to be tight as hell if you go to take it out and you got a spot right here. They was pulling for dear life. Said this person, here we go, question. Did you also tell us that you called this person and tried to keep the line open because you were scared and you didn't know what was going to happen next while you were in the car? Answer, yes. So I'm wondering, was that person, her current boyfriend who was also the father of her son? Answer, I was scared because the police were aggressive. So she's giving us a timetable as to when she called this person so that somebody could be a witness to what was going on. This is when they got pulled over. The helicopters pulled up. So here we go. Question, did you tell us? Well, you didn't tell us that this occurred before. You didn't tell us this occurred after the police came into the scene. Is that correct? This occurred when the police came into the scene, yes. Question, did you tell us specifically that when you made this phone call that you had your phone on an open line so that the other person line can hear what was going on inside the car, and this was after the shooting, immediately after the shooting. Answer, no. This was not immediately after anything. This was when the police pulled us over. Now see how direct her answers get when it gets away from incriminating anybody? Remember, she don't recall, she don't remember, but she's very distinctive about, I called somebody so that they could be a witness to what was happening between us and the police. Okay, said it was him. She admitted that pointless interview on the podcast. Okay, and said you can clearly see that in the helicopter video. The moment Kelsey picked up the phone, the screen lights up as the cops were telling Kelsey to get out of the truck. Thank you. Said, and I think that's the moment Kelsey threw the hot gun under the seat. I don't think she threw it under the seat. And the reason why I'm saying that is this. When they got back in the car, you have to know the seating position of where everybody was at. The firearm was actually where Meg was seated. If you go back to look at the seating position when they talk about where everybody was in the vehicle, they found it closer to Meg. That's why in the beginning when I read this, I made sure that I went over the seating arrangement where everybody was sitting in the vehicle. Remember where Kelsey was when she got out of the vehicle. It was not where Kelsey was when she got out of the vehicle. If y'all remember, the helicopter was over there where everybody was seated in the vehicle when they all got out. It wasn't next to her. I watched it a couple times, and then when they said where they found it, it made sense to me. I said, oh, they found it closer to where Meg was. Said back rear seat. Yep, sure did, back rear seat. Kelsey having GSR on her hands, possibly caused because she took it from Meg and moved it as the cops asked her to exit. I believe that it was taken from Meg before they even got in the vehicle. I don't think Meg had any access to it in the vehicle. Because if you listen to the way that Sean Kelly and the other person who described the altercation described it, he said that the guys split up the girls. And he said, that the security grabbed one, Tory grabbed the other. They had to force them into the vehicle. Meg got in the vehicle. The Tasmanian devil, Kelsey, was still rah-rah. He had to literally pick her up and throw her in the vehicle for them to go, right? So with that being said, they didn't really get to pick their seating assignment when they got back in the vehicle. Everybody just hurried up and got back in the best way they could and took off. But they made sure that it was not in Meg's possession when they got back in the vehicle. So it's very interesting, when you find out, looking at the vehicle where everybody was seated at, and then where they were seated at when Kelsey got out to go walk around the vehicle and put them ones and twos on her in the front seat. Said behind the driver's seat, but they found it where Meg was sitting. Right. Yep. Listen, I got a keen memory. I pay attention. Say they had to get the gun away from Meg, especially because she was acting belligerent outside screaming. Right. Right. And the officer said that it was still hot, which is a big clue, which means that it had only been fired like minutes prior. It was still hot. So let's see. Where did I leave off? Answer, no, this was immediately after anything. This was when the police pulled us over. Question, did you tell us in September that Meg had her leg on you while you were in the car? Answer, yes. Now remember that now. They said that she had her leg propped up on her. Question, did you tell us that when you guys all got back in the car, Tory was in the front passenger seat? Y'all hear that? Tory was in the front passenger seat. Jaquan was on the driver's seat, and you and Meg were in the rear passenger seat. Answer, yes. And is that true? Answer, yes. Question, and was Meg bleeding on you when she had her leg on you? Answer, again, ma'am, this is everything. Again, ma'am, everything was kind of, we were just like paying attention to everything, so I don't know. Miss Tao, may I approach the witness? Court, yes. I'm showing you what's been marked as people 19 for identification. Do you recognize this picture? Answer, yes. Question, who is that? Answer, that's me. Question, and that was the night of July the 12th, 2020. After the shooting, this picture was taken then. Answer, this was at the jail. Question, so she's talking about the mug shot that they all took when she was bruised up in booking. Question, what is that on your right leg in the picture? Answer, blood. Whose blood is that? Answer, I don't know. Was that your blood? Answer, I can't tell you that. I don't know. Question, was Meg bleeding in the car? Answer, again, I honestly was not paying attention. Question, you didn't notice whether or not Meg was bleeding profusely all over the back seat and the center console of the car? Answer, sorry, but no. Question, showing you people 17. Do you recognize that? Answer, no. Question, I'm showing you people's 15A. Do you recognize that? Answer, no. Question, do you recognize this is at all? Is this the back of the car you were in? Answer, it's the back of the car. Why she keeps referring to this truck as a car, I don't know. They were in an SUV. Question, where were the bloody towels in the car? Answer, to my knowledge, no. Were there bloody towels in the car? Excuse me, I said that wrong. Were there bloody towels in the car? To my knowledge, no. Question, showing you what's been marked as people 9. Do you recognize this? Answer, yes. Question, what is that? Answer, that's my suitcase. Question, there are red stains on top of the suitcase. What are those red stains? Answer, ma'am, I've never seen this before. So it's what it shows. That's an interesting way to word a sentence. She said, ma'am, I never seen this before, so it's what it shows. Question, well, what does it show? Answer, a suitcase with blood stains. Question, and whose blood is that? Answer, I don't know. I honestly never seen this. Notice she's saying she never seen these pictures of this suitcase. She stated this twice. Question, were you bleeding? Answer, again, there was blood on me. I don't know whose blood that is. Oh, Lord. Let me go back and catch up with some of the stuff y'all saying. Yes, they did switch seats. That's why I keep trying to make sure y'all know that they played musical chairs. The seats that they were in when the initial altercation happened is not the seats that they were in when the police pulled them over. That is very, very important. So, like you said, back rear seat. Tory was in the front seat when this happened. So if they did not find it where Tory was sitting, if it was back where, closer to where the girls were sitting, then that means Tory didn't have it in his possession both times. Now, to me, that's crazy as hell. I would have never let neither one of them near it again. It would have been in the console. It would have been in the front glove compartment. It wouldn't have been near either one of them after everything that happened, as far as I'm concerned. Said behind the driver's seat, said behind the driver rear seat, but they found it where Megan was sitting. Yep, you're right. That's why I want y'all to know where everybody was sitting. Because if she's a victim, let's think about this. If she's a victim, she was brutally attacked, and the weapon is found near her, why wouldn't she get that weapon and force them to let her up out of there, or, defend herself? Said they had to get the gun away from Megan, especially because she was acting belligerent outside screaming. Also, Megan said Tory was yelling. Well, I believe that was the voice that we were hearing on the 911 calls that kept asking her to stop. Kelsey was also in Tory's seat when they switched seats. Megan was in Kelsey's seat. Absolutely. You are 100% correct. That's why I want y'all to know the seating order where everybody ended up. Said it breaks my heart to hear the audio, to hear Tory saying, "Stop, Meg," and he was sitting in prison for no reason. Yeah, said free Tory Lanez until it's backwards. Yeah. Said Kelsey needs to go down for perjury also. Well, here's the thing. She didn't perjure herself at this point because she's telling you what was not true. She's admitting that she was pressured in the initial interview, meaning that these people would not let her out of there until she said what they felt comfortable with, what they needed her to say. She is also stating that, towards the end of her testimony, she makes sure that she lets everybody in the court know that everything that was said in September was not true, which means they were supposed to throw that out. They refused to throw it out. She's stating that they're presenting evidence in court that she had never seen, which means that was not processed properly, because any evidence that was seen in court should have also been seen by her legal team, because all legal teams involved have the right to prep properly for the case. So y'all heard when I told y'all earlier that the prosecution admitted that they didn't have things numbered and filed properly, and the judge allowed them to change the evidentiary numbers to reclassify evidence under new numbers right there on the spot in court. So if they had to change it right there on the spot in court, then that means that they should have already been able to issue the updated or redacted information to all legal teams involved. So it was a lot of trickery going on between the DA and the judge. Said Henny was not bleeding profusely. Thank you. I was getting on that next. If she couldn't tell if she was bleeding or not, she was not bleeding profusely. She may, and then on top of that, being that they had just gotten to it in an altercation, she may not have known whose blood it was because they had got it on the floor. They had, they told us they bumped into each other, but y'all done drug each other across the concrete and rolled around and whatnot. You got scrapes and bruises. Don't nobody know who got what versus who got what. It's dark in the vehicle. Y'all just trying to get to where y'all need to get to. So she may have known that she was injured, but she, like you said, bleeding profusely, everybody would have known. Said agreed that setup Tory had everybody acting like he didn't protect Kelsey from jail time. It's like he protected everybody but himself. He ended up throwing himself under the bus. He probably emptied the clip so there was no bullets left in there. I believe that, but who checked the magazine to test the magazine for, fingerprints? Because even if he emptied the clip, when you take that magazine out, somebody's fingerprints had to be on that magazine who loaded it in the first place. Said they played on his heart, being good-hearted can be a blessing and a curse. I totally agree. And him just being such a a sweet person. He was trying to keep it G. And by keep it G, hey, if we all be quiet, this will stay under the rug. We'll let this blow over. And it very well could have had Megan not went live and was like, you know, you pow me. And then here it is, the whole world is on her live like, oh my God, what happened? Because we, at that point, we hadn't heard anything. We didn't know anything about anything that was going on. Because even TMZ, y'all got to remember, TMZ, just like the regular news, they have police scanners where they hear what goes out into, you know, the police scanners. So TMZ was, you know, they had eyes in the sky. They also said that, you know, the initial report had, you know, cuts, glass. Next thing you know, it got turned around. So I'm going to stop here for tonight. I'm on, what is this? Okay, I'm on page 77. So when we come back, we're going to go through page 77 through page 110, and we'll be done with Kelsey's testimony. And we're going to, after that, we're going to go into Meg's testimony. And by then, hopefully, I'll have the other transcripts, because I wanted to save Meg's for last. So I'm going to wait to see if I get the other transcripts. Either way, we're going to read everybody's transcripts so that we can get to the bottom of everybody's testimonies, and then we can, you know, investigate the police reports, and we can start figuring out how this changed up, what happened, and wherever the gray areas are, y'all know I keep my decks on deck. So I'm going to go ahead and, you know, end it here, because there's only so much you can read from this without, you know, getting a headache and being agitated, because this was a bunch of foolishness when it come down to it. Lord have mercy. This was a mess, y'all. But I will see y'all again 2 weeks from now on Monday, which will give us enough time to get the answers from the AG, see what he says, and then we go from there, and we'll keep this thing going until he gets home. Said the twerking horse would be lying through her hoofs. Ooh, Jesus. You're welcome, baby. I got to get some rest, y'all. I got personals tomorrow, and I got content that I got to knock out. Anybody who like to get a personal reading from me, you can hit me up at angelkissestheoracle@gmail.com. I'm swift with my responses, and I'll definitely let you know what times I have available in my schedule, and I'll get you booked as soon as possible. $40 for a 30-minute reading, $80 for an hour. If you have an iPhone, you can FaceTime me. If not, we can do a Google Meet link. And goodness gracious, y'all, I just don't understand how in the world this even made it to court, let alone how did it not get dropped. This should have been dropped. Point blank in a period. This should have been dropped. If this was regular everyday people without the celebrity and all the salaciousness that they're trying to hide allegedly over at that house for the kickback, we wouldn't even be here right now. So, y'all, I'm going to get my tired butt up off of here, because I'm looking at me on this camera and I look like one of them little badass kids that won't go to sleep. Would you say I got me some Dr. Bonners too? Oh, Lord. If it's peppermint, I already warned you, don't use no more than 3 drops on your first attempt. said, yeah, they did do Tory wrong. They did him super dirty. But I'm going to tell you one thing's for certain and two things are for sure. God spin the block for his. And he's definitely about to spin the block and go set the record straight for Tory. All these people that helped to put this into effect, they're going down. And we're seeing all of this happen simultaneously. So just imagine when all the multiple moving parts come together and people have to be held accountable. You're going to see a couple more of these fake apologies like we saw with the Dittler. And we don't want to hear none of that. None of that. Ain't no sorry you can give. Cut the check. He need money for his new life when he get out. Cedar Sinai, Rock Nation, Megan, and your last $3 after this tour you can't afford with all them free tickets you passing out. The DA, I'd get them too. Kathy Towle. You know, if you got a Hyundai, I want it. All of them. They owe them. The judge, they need to strip him and get him off the bench. So y'all, we gonna hang on in here. We gonna go through, you know, the evidence. It's just a wow. It's a huge wow moment, and it's a lot of people in the industry that know what really happened. The streets and heard what really happened. People are just afraid to lose their career or get caught up in this and go to jail because it's folks who got, you know, influence are using their influence as much as they can. Said, I'm tired of the Dittler. Hell, the Dittler tired of himself too. Said, I don't think he be held accountable. There wasn't any justice for Britney Spears, and they had her, we'll say they had her hopped up and got her alone, alone knows what happened, what else they did to her. I mean, it took forever for her to get out that conservatorship, but she went forward and she made sure that she told it that they kept her, you know, full of pills. And she said that they kept her with so many pills that she has permanent brain damage. So it's super unfortunate. Aw, thank you, Justice, for us. Gratitude to all of you for being here, because this is a team effort. It's not just me. Y'all show up and y'all help me gather this evidence. And as long as we work together as a team, we're going to pray. We're going to do our part. We're going to pray for his lawyers to do their part, because God got a plan. And can't nobody outplan God. So, like I said, I'm going ahead and get off of here because I got personals to do tomorrow. I got a lot of content I should have did yesterday. But, y'all, we going to ride this thing till the wheels fall off and we shake the truth out of somebody. It might be up under Henny's new curly wig, but we going to get to the truth. I promise you that. They can't hide it forever. Said I figured he was with them. I figured he was with them beady ass evil eyes. He got TT. Y'all funny. Oh my gosh. Oh, have mercy. No, we didn't do any tap-ins today. We only discussed the evidence. We made sure that we knew where everybody was seated, and we're almost done with Kelsey's testimony. The next one that we tap in on, we're going to finish Kelsey's testimony, move on to the next testimony, and we're going to do this all the way up until he comes home. But y'all, they played in a lot of people's face on the internet and on the news because they knew people did not know the seating charts. They knew people did not know they played musical chairs. If people knew that firearm was closer to Henny when the police got there, they would look at this a whole lot different. When they pulled them over and Tory got out, y'all think the police with them helicopters would not have seen him do one of these and throw it in the back seat? And why would you trust throwing it in the back seat with the person that you just injured? Some of this is common sense, but y'all, we know a lot of people ain't got common sense. So y'all are so funny. I'm getting out of here before I start cracking jokes with y'all talking about somebody was looking cross-eyed with his fake story. I already know who you talking about. Diddy's eyes was rolling around like some damn marbles. I promise you they were. I had to stop looking at him because he was confusing me at some point. But I'll see y'all later. I'm tired. Good night, y'all.